3, 2, and we are live. What's going on, everybody? Happy New Year, and welcome to the next episode of the FilmBrony podcast. This is episode, crap, I forgot what episode this was.
23, I believe.
23, thank you. Welcome to episode 23 of the FilmBrony podcast. I am, of course, Nick Canino, the guy who's who helped take over the show, and as always, though, I'm not alone on this. I got some of my friends with me, as always. So, would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
My name is Christian Frates, and I'm a huge physical media fan. And I am also an aspiring filmmaker, voice actor. You can hear my voice in different cartoons and video games.
I was able to voice Soren and Adult Swim in one anniversary retrospective.
To be honest, we have a shit ton of stuff to go over, so I'm not going to do an introduction here.
I hear an echo.
I think I hear an echo too.
Yeah, I think it's coming from your end.
Nice French. Hello.
Oh shit. Oh boy, one of those.
I can see you.
Give me a second. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Give me a second.
I've gotten a lot of DVDs and Blu-rays for the holiday season.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, I can't wait to show them. And this is my action figure of Lobo, my favorite DC character.
Nice.
Bite me, fat boy.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. All right, we got a lot of stuff to do today, so we're just gonna and this is Soren right here, the guy who created the show. So as always, we like to go over the first thing on the podcast, which is the Blu-ray Showcase.
All right, so I have a package on the way in a few minutes, so my dad should be able to get it in a few minutes. But as for now, here's what I have: Allied,
Nice,
Big Fist, Brokeback Mountain.
nice,
Just did a review on this a few episodes ago. Charlotte's Web, the remake.
nice.
Chinatown.
That's a classic.
The DreamWorks 4 movie packet includes Over the Heads, B-Movie, Shark Tale, and Monsters vs. Aliens. By the way,
Nice.
Shark Tale is the better version of Dear Evan Hansen. Don't at me at that one. Dread,
Nice.
Fantasia, and Fantasia 2000. The Footloose remake,
Nice.
A Ghost Story,
I love that movie.
Jersey Boys,
Jersey Boys was very good.
Logan Lucky,
I like that movie.
I love that movie.
Meet the Parents,
A classic.
It is.
Mitchells vs. the Machines, hands down the best animated film of the year.
Yes.
Mr. Smith Goes to Washington,
That's a classic.
Pig,
But you're talking about me?
The Polar Express, Reign Over Me,
Nice.
and Witness.
Nice. I got some Blu-rays myself. I got some Blu-rays myself. A lot of them are like 2020s, and then a lot of them, some of them are like 2020s, A lot of them are 2021s, and then I got a few Criterion Blu-rays. So, all right. Here are my Blu-rays. On the Rocks.
One of last year's best.
Yep. The Climb.
That's an underappreciated one.
It is. One of the best movies of last year. News of the World.
Paul Greengrass, can't go wrong with him.
Nope. Minari.
Great film.
It is. The Father.
Great.
Then I got some. Then I got some Blu-rays from 2021. The Suicide Squad.
Bird.
Yeah. Bird. Ryan the Last Dragon. One of my favorite animated films of the year.
A bit flawed, but I still enjoy it.
Nice. The Last Duel.
So sad it bombed.
Yeah. Yeah, really. Limbo.
Another underappreciated one.
Indeed. Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings.
Shang-Chi, one of Marvel's
Shang-Chi.
better movies.
Yeah. No Time to Die.
Again, flawed, but enjoyable.
Nice.
Still talking.
Zola.
It's one of, it's a really good movie, but to be honest, I don't really see myself watching it again, but good for you.
The Mitchells versus the Machines. Easily my favorite animated film of the year.
Let the Dark Harvest begin.
Saint Maud, my favorite horror film of the year.
I've heard good things about that one.
I highly recommend giving it a watch. 9 Days, one of the best movies I've seen this year.
That's a fantastic movie.
It is. Also, another one of my favorite films of the year. Paul Schrader's The Card Counter.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, and then I also have Pig. Yep. Great movie. Nicolas Cage gives out his best performance since leaving Las Vegas. And then I got a few Criterion on Blu-rays too. So, starting with Uncut Gems.
Did you know that Jackie encouraged Adam to take that role?
I did not know that, but that's great. That's great. Yeah, that's a great movie. Even though I have the DVD of this, I wanted to get the Blu-ray. Martin Scorsese's The Irishman. One of the best movies from 2019. I absolutely love this one.
Where is it? There it is.
Nice. My favorite movie of 2019. I'm glad I got the Criterion release. Parasite.
Hold on. Where is it? There it is.
Nice. And last but not least, a fantastic directorial debut from Regina King, One Night in Miami.
I don't have that.
That's all right. Anyway, we got a shit ton of
I
movies.
have mine too.
Really? Well,
Yeah. I have the T.I. double gut movie, Kinder movie.
Probably one of the best Winnie the Pooh movies.
yeah.
And this foolish samurai warrior's final season.
Nice.
I still need to see that one. Jenny Tartakovsky's a pretty underappreciated director. Have you seen the Hotel
Yeah.
Transylvania films?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I have the New Mutants, and I want to check out the bonus features to see if it's any different.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, and I have James Gunn's MVP, The Suicide Squad.
Yes.
I consider
Now
it
we're
the closest
talking.
to a Lobo movie.
Yep.
Because why the frick don't I have my own movie?
Hey, wait, before you do this,
have Alita Battle Angel.
Nice.
I need to get that one.
Yeah.
Triforce of Wisdom, baby.
Yeah.
Main man approves. And I have Man of Steel,
Nice.
Best movie of 2013.
and I have the finale of the Snyder trilogy, the Snyder Cut itself.
Yes.
Not to spoil anything, but that's my favorite movie of 2021.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nick, you really need to see this movie ASAP.
I know.
It's so good.
I know. I know. I will. I will get to that eventually. It's just like I had a shit ton of stuff in my mind, which is why I wasn't able to get through. I wasn't able to like watch that. So
Yeah, and you know who Ray Porter is, right?
yes.
He voiced Darkseid, and he liked a photo of me holding this and a Darkseid figure I got.
That's great.
Yeah, and I have the best animated Spider-Man movie of all time, Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
It
Oh,
comes
yeah.
with an extended cut.
Yes.
I just saw it a couple weeks ago. Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a classic.
It is a classic. It's one of the best animated movies I've ever seen.
Yes, and this one I like because my dad likes monster movies. Van Helsing.
I haven't seen it, so I can't say.
Well, it has a good following, and it also had an animated prequel and a video game. It not only had Frankenstein and Dracula, but also Mr. Hyde.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Oh yeah, I remember.
and I have El Super Beasto, Rob Zombie's animated film.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's from several animators of Ren and Stimpy,
Oh, I see.
like
The only
Bob Camp and Chris Riccardi. May he rest in peace.
Rest in peace, dude.
The only downside is it was the same year that Rob Zombie also released Halloween 2, the remake.
At least he poked fun at it by having El Super Beasto run over Michael Myers. And I have the extended cut of this underrated Marvel gem, The Punisher.
Yes.
That's very underappreciated.
Very underrated.
Yes, and I have James Gunn's directorial debut, Slither.
I still need to see that one.
Nice.
It's pretty good. The DVD I have has deleted scenes, a gag reel, featurettes, and a commentary. And last but not least is a big guilty pleasure of mine, which was retooled from a mob comedy to, you've guessed it, Kangaroo Jack.
That's kind of a guilty pleasure of mine, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good thing I let Nick know that it was originally going to be a mob comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I remember the Nostalgia Critic talking about this in his review.
Yeah, it's just this is what happens when a studio wants to get in the way of something, and all of a sudden ruin like the vision of it.
Well, the good thing is that there's an animated sequel that's more family friendly and has more of a kangaroo.
Yeah, I know. Good day, USA.
Yeah, Jeff Bennett voiced the kangaroo in the animated sequel.
Yes, I did know about that.
Well,
Oh, and
And-
hashtag release the director's cut of Kangaroo Jack.
the
So-
McNally cut.
The
McNally.
McNally.
Jerry
cut.
O'Connell is on board with it.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's it for all of our Blu-rays, unless my package comes in. So,
I'm
onto
getting
our
my copy of Big Daddy next year. Will somebody get the kid a Happy Meal?
Will somebody get the kid a Happy Meal?
still not as blatant of a product placement as Mac and Me.
Yeah,
True.
really.
Anyways, onto our shit ton of movie reviews.
It's I should also mention it's one of my biggest guilty pleasures. So
Anyways, on to our shit ton of movie reviews. First off is Apple TV's CODA.
I just watched that too.
This truly is a fantastic feel-good movie about a young woman's path to a music school while also dealing with her deaf parents' struggling financial issues. The writing by Sion Heder is emotional and feels real. The cast is great, especially Emilia Jones's breakthrough and Troy Kotcher's Golden Globe nominated performance. Those with Apple TV should totally seek out a fantastic film and a strong contender for the Oscars, which I'm giving a 10 out of 10.
I absolutely love this movie. You know, I'm just kicking myself right now for not putting this in the top 5 best films on the summer list because let me tell you guys something. CODA is one of the most deeply moving films I have seen this entire year. Emilia Jones gives out one of the best breakthrough performances I've seen this entire year as Ruby Rossi. Her performance felt so natural and real that you just want to like go up to the screen and just hang out with her. And that's not the only performance that she gives out. Everybody else gives out a fantastic performance too. From like Marley Madeline, which I was very impressed by. She was phenomenal in this. To the actor that played the dad. Let me look this up really quick. Let me look this up. Yeah, Troy Kotzer. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but he was fantastic as Frank Rossi. But Eugenio de Benz, what a phenomenal performance. He plays the music teacher, Mr. V, or Bernardo, and he was absolutely incredible in this movie. The writing is fantastic, the directing, and so was the directing. I love the story, the cinematography, the soundtrack, the editing, the pacing, and its theme about family was so well handled in this one, and its message as well as its message, and which led to one of the most emotional endings I've seen put to film this entire year. I mean, my God, the ending was absolutely emotional. That was so emotional that I bawled. I literally bawled my eyes out when it was over. So yeah, I'm with Soren on this one. This is easily one of the best movies I've seen this entire year. If you guys have Apple TV, I highly recommend giving this one a watch because let me tell you, CODA is absolutely one of the most deeply moving films I've seen this entire year, and without a doubt, it's getting a 10 out of 10 or an A+. And hello, Leah. Welcome to the show.
Anyways, my package just came in the mail, and I got Fatal Attraction.
Nice. That's a classic.
And I have Primage's Laura.
Nice.
Anyways, our next movie review is Mike Mills' Come On, Come On. Mike Mills writes and directs this deeply relatable and emotional story about Joaquin Phoenix, who's had a rough past. He's been trying to forget to his job, but has to watch over his socially awkward nephew, playing the best child performance of the year by Woody Norman. The writing is real and sympathetic, and the direction is solid, especially with the black and white cinematography. Definitely one of the best, definitely one of the most emotional films of the year. 10 out of 10.
I'm with Soren on this one. Come On, Come On was absolutely one of the most realistic and deeply moving films I've seen this entire year. Joaquin Phoenix delivers one of the best performances I've seen in his career. I mean, after he won the Oscar for Joker, I was really looking forward to seeing what he was going to do next, and this is a fantastic follow up since he plays the uncle in the film, who has to figure out how is he going to take care of his nephew while his mother's away, and how he did it was just absolutely incredible. And speaking of the nephew, the kid that played Woody in the film. Oh wait, Jesse. I'm sorry. Woody Norman's performance as Jesse was absolutely incredible. This is one of the most realistic. His performance felt so real and natural that he felt like a real kid, and that's what movies are supposed to portray kids as, real. And Gabby Hoffman was absolutely fantastic as Viv too. This movie was absolutely incredible, and from its wonderful cinematography shot in black and white to its great story, fantastic writing, fantastic directing, great editing, great soundtrack. And I also love how the movie also cuts back and forth to the interviews with real kids talking about their future and stuff and the world. And it didn't surprise me that when I found out that the reviews that the interviews they did were real. So it's almost like you're watching like a documentary at the same time. Well, at the same time, it's telling a fictionalized story about the uncle and nephew spending time together. This is one of the best movies I've seen this year. It's my favorite film from Mike Mills so far, and I loved 20th Century Women and I loved Beginners, but this one really hit me to the core, where it definitely deserves another 10 out of 10 or an A+. Well done, Mike Mills.
Yeah, you guys better have a drinking game every time we have a 10 out of 10 movie.
Yeah.
Anyways,
there's going to be a lot of it. There's going to be a lot of it.
Anyways, The Power of the Dog. This movie has been one of the most award-worthy movies of the year, and it totally deserves it. Jane Campion delivers this delivers a stellar cast, especially Benedict Cumberbatch's unnerving protagonist, who's really harsh at first, but as the movie goes along, you start to grow attached to him and delve deep into why he's the character that he is. Cody Smith-McPhee and Kirsten Dunst also give great performances. The production values are great, and the cinematography and Johnny Greenwood's music are hauntingly beautiful. All combined into a modern Western classic that proves that Jane Campion has still got after winning an Oscar 30 years prior. 10 out of 10.
I'm with Soren on this one. This is easily one of the year's very best movies. This is one of the best Western movies I've seen in a long time. From the year's best performance to Benedict Cumberbatch to the year's to one of the year's very best supporting performances by Kirsten Dunst, as well as fantastic production values and costume design, great story, fantastic directing and writing by Jane Campion. Johnny Greenwood's amazing musical score, beautiful cinematography, wonderful editing, and yes, the film is a slow burn pace, which I can definitely see why some people would be turned off by that. But to me, it worked because it fit the tone and atmosphere of the film. And the ending is one of the best endings I've seen put to film this entire year. I absolutely love the way it ended because of how much of a powerful gut it hits you. Yeah, this is easily Jane Campion's best movie. In my opinion, this is easily Jane Campion's best movie since The Piano. It's powerful, it's mesmerizing, and it was just all around one of the best films of the year. And I also give it a 10 out of 10 or an A+.
Our next movie review is Aaron Sorkin's Being the Ricardos. So, a movie by Aaron Sorkin with an all-star cast about the making of I Love Lucy. How can this not be a contender for one of the best films of the year? Well, let's just start with the tone and story that are all over the place, switching from the realistic portrayal of communism, divorce, and pushing the boundaries of censorship to trying to have a whimsical tone like the original show. Then, let's needlessly cut in interviews with the real people who just summarize what we're about to see. And finally, Nicole Kidman could look and sound the part, but Javier Bardem could be completely out of place, and J.K. Simmons could just play J.K. Simmons. So while this isn't a bad movie by any means, it could have and should have been better than what it is. 6 out of 10.
Um, my thoughts on I agree with you. I did like this movie being the Ricardos, but compared to Aaron Sorkin's other movies he's written, this is probably my least favorite of the films he has either written or directed. That's not to say that the script isn't good. Aaron Sorkin's script was very good, and so was his directing, and the acting was absolutely terrific. I loved Nicole Kidman gives out one of the best performances I've seen this year as Lucille Ball. She not only does she look like Lucille Ball, especially with how they did that makeup and hairstyling on her, which was absolutely incredible, but she sounds like Lucille Ball too. Javier Bardem was great. I love J.K. Simmons in the film. All the other actors did a fantastic job. I love the soundtrack. I love the cinematography. I love the production values and costume design. And I did like the ending overall. Where it does fall flat, though, is the story. And how jumbled and messy it felt. And so was the film's editing. Like, I didn't like how it cut it back and forth to like the real people interviews or like to the actual story. And it does suffer through a lot of pacing issues here and there. And it does go for those cliches that we do see in other films before, so which was a real disappointment. But overall, I did like this movie. I do agree with you, Soren, that it could have been a lot better though, and that's why I give it a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10.
Well, my next movie review was a thing. Diary of a Wimpy Kid 2021.
Oh.
This was honestly the exact same movie as the original film from 2010, just with a ton of cut plot points, resulting in a runtime that's not even an hour long. As a result, it suffers from rushed pacing, underdeveloped characters, and a completely rushed climax. Top it off with unfinished animation, and you got one of the most unnecessary reboots I've ever seen in my life. This franchise really should have been a 2D animated cartoon series from the beginning. But it's miles better than the long haul, and I didn't hate myself watching it, so there's that. 4 out of 10.
Yeah, it's just like I haven't seen the movie yet, but knowing that the film is like too short, I'm just like, what's the point?
And
I'd
yeah,
say
at
it's
least,
an example of how not to do an animated remake.
Right.
yeah, and at least it's better than.
Oh no.
Oh, where do I begin with this one?
Oh no. We're about to get to this one.
When I saw the promotion for this particular movie and who was behind it, I knew this was going to be bad. But there was nothing that could prepare me for how miraculously awful this Oscar tryhard is.
Oh no.
Like, I know this movie has its fans like the Critics' Choice, Golden Globes, and yeah, I'll mention the Oscars even though the nominations haven't been announced. And I'm not calling anyone for liking it.
Oh no.
And we're not using this video as a political statement, as we try to keep our reviews apolitical as long as we can help it.
Absolutely.
Just understand that I feel like Anne McKay and everyone else associated with Don't Look Down has completely jumped the shark.
Don't look up.
First of all,
I'm sorry that those. I'm sorry to those that love this movie, but Jesus Christ, this movie infuriated Soren and I.
First of all, the story is clearly trying to have this grand message against division in politics and social media. The problem is that the message is completely shoehorned in by the fact that these politicians who should be doing something to stop this meteor from hitting Earth are so stupid that they don't even believe the main scientists' clear and present evidence. Even when the meteor is in plain sight, they're too stupid to agree that a huge meteor is in the sky and is about to kill everyone. And the way that they're roasting these scientists on social media, even though they're pretty much telling the 100% truth, is just inconceivable.
Like,
I wouldn't mind so much, except for a movie Letterboxd calls a comedy. It's just not funny.
It's not funny. It's not funny. This tries way too hard to be like Doctor Strangelove for a new generation. It tries way too hard to be like that.
Yeah, and almost all of the jokes are pretty much politics suck, social media sucks, people never listen, this movie is getting Oscar buzz and not Razzie buzz, we're so important. The acting is completely wasted.
This was a huge ego trip for all things considered.
The acting is completely wasted. I am aware that these actors like Leo DiCaprio, J-Law, Jonah Hill, Timothy Chalamet, and Meryl Streep are talented actors, some of the best in the business today, but the problem is that Adam McKay directed them in such a way that they're trying too hard to sound so important that they'd win an Oscar to the point of overacting, clearly bored, and wanted to go home to enjoy the paycheck, or both. Especially Academy Award winner Mark Rylance, who's trying way too hard to imitate Mark Zuckerberg. Like, there's a right way, and there's a right way to direct actors in a political satire, and then there's Don't Look Down. The editing is a complete joke. It's almost like a toddler with severe brain trauma edited this thing with its rapid cuts, conversations that get interrupted mid-sentence, and that's stock footage to film a nature documentary directed by Terrence Malick, and even completely stopping the plot for an Ariana Grande music video. Just why?
Why? This is seriously one of the worst edited movies I've seen this entire year.
Only not to an ending that's not only predictable, but it's the cinematic equivalent of Adam McKay waving his giant finger to everyone who's ever had social media like, you could do this, you could lead our species to total extinction, all because you people are divided. This is not only the worst Oscar tryhard film I've ever reviewed, but it's also one of the worst movies I've ever seen, period. Extremely loud and incredibly close and CS music are looking at this movie and laughing at it. It is such a tragic step in these actors' careers that it makes a certain character moment in Spider-Man No Way Home look like comedy gold by comparison.
Like, for real.
It is a pure epitome of why Adam McKay either needs to go back to Will Ferrell comedies or just retire. And when this movie
or just do something different and original for once.
And when this movie, and I'm not saying if, I'm saying when this movie gets a single nomination at the Academy Awards, let alone Best Picture, I'm gonna be freaking livid. Because it is my sarcastic honor to give this politically self-important abomination a 1 out of 10. I was this close to giving this a 0, but then I realized that the cinematography and or special effects can occasionally deliver a decent visual. But that's not enough for me to recommend this one to anyone. Never watch this movie. Ever. You're better off just watching SNL on YouTube for 138 minutes straight to prove that a weekly low-budget live show has more relevance than the $75 million disgrace will ever have on the human race.
Particularly any of the skits that have Chris Farley in them. Those were gold.
Jose brought this up. What if Don't Look Up is made by Happy Madison? Oh my god. Honestly, that would have been worse. that would have been worse. Look, I still love Adam Sandler, but Happy Madison is one of the worst companies working today. As for my thoughts on Don't Look Up, look, I'm not trying to like, I'm not trying to like say, look, I'm not trying to destroy anybody's enjoyment with this movie, since it is one of the most divisive movies of the year, but it's just like, Adam McKay really has jumped the shark at this point. There are a few good things. Well, I won't go that far as to call it like one of the worst movies I've seen in my life. This is one of the worst Oscar bait movies I've ever seen in my life. The only thing that kept it from being a 0 were that, I know you're going to probably disagree with me with this, Soren. Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, and Mark Rylance were the only actors that gave out good performances. I love the cinematography and the visual effects they did on the comet and space. That was very well done. When I saw the trailer for it, I was really worried that the visual effects for those we're going to be looking at something out of a sci-fi channel, but no, it was actually well detailed, and that really impressed me with the visual effects. Besides that, though, this movie was terrible. The story's a jumbled mess. The script is one of the worst of the year, since the tone is just inconsistent as hell. The characters are just beyond idiots. The directing is terrible. The rest of the acting is terrible. I mean, how in the world could you waste actors like Cate Blanchett, Tyler Perry, Timothée Chalamet, Ron Perlman, and Meryl Streep and Jonah Hill and all the others, and have them be in this awful movie that tries way too hard to be funny. I mean, just, oh my god, I hated the sound. I hated the musical score by Nicholas Bertel. Look, I love jazz, but this was the wrong way to put it in the film. The editing,
I also. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Oh, that was good. The editing, we also mentioned, is one of the worst of the year, since it feels like a toddler like edited this movie. It's that bad. It's also way too long. It's poorly paced, and like Soren stated before, I predicted the ending where the comet hit the Earth and killed everybody on the planet, because they didn't I don't know. Listen for once!
I feel like Idiocracy by Mike Judge is miles better than this.
Yeah, really. And speaking of the jokes, I only laughed once. Once! Out of this 138-minute film. Once I laughed at. There was not one single... Like, 99% of the jokes fall extremely flat on their faces. You get more comedy out of an Adam Sandler film than you do with this.
And that's not a joke.
Like, for real. I hated this movie. This movie tried way too hard to be like Doctor Strangelove for a new generation, and it was just absolutely one of the most pretentious, idiotic, and just downright inconsistent movies I've seen this entire year. This is easily a 2 out of 10. One of the worst movies I've seen this year. This is one of the worst movies I've seen this year. And look, Adam McKay, I love you, man. You're a very talented filmmaker. I was really looking forward to seeing what you would do, how you would take a different approach after you did The Big Short. I don't know what the hell happened to you, man. I don't know what the hell happened. Oh, and by the way, Adam McKay, you're not Kubrick! You're no Stanley Kubrick!
Nobody is except Kubrick himself. And
Yeah,
he's
really.
dead.
Yeah, he died in 1999. It's just, if you want to see better political satire movies, watch Doctor Strangelove and watch Wag the Dog, directed by Barry Levinson. Those are way better political satire movies than this. Like I said,
God, I can walk.
Away from this piece of shit.
stay away from this piece of shit. It is one of the worst movies that Soren and I saw this entire year. It's just how in the world did anybody thought that this would be watchable, let alone entertaining? This movie is just an absolute waste of time. It wastes a great cast, and it just wastes everybody's time as well. Yeah, this is a 2 out of 10, as I stated before. One of the worst movies I've seen this year. Like I said, I'm sorry to those that love this movie, but it was just real. I'm glad you love this movie. It was just really hard for me to sit through this. It was really painful and tough for me to sit through this. Do yourself a favor, Adam McKay, and please come up with something different and original next time. Please.
And now we get to another cinematic disaster, solely because the title is misleading. Nobody actually puts licorice candy on their pizza. 3 out of 10 misleading title. Oh, wait, we watch way harder than Don't Look Down.
I know exactly where he's going with this. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Thomas Anderson's Licorice Pizza.
But in all seriousness, this was a fun 70s slice of life, no pun intended. PTA's writing shines as always and might just win the best original screenplay Oscar. The way he made everything look like a time capsule, from the production values to the soundtrack, are admirable. And the cast is pretty great, from Cooper Hoffman's debut role to Eleanor Haim. Anyone who's a fan of PTA and the 70s should totally seek this one out. 10 out of 10.
This is easily the best movie I've seen this year. Yes, I just loved this movie when I first saw it back in theaters a couple days ago. This movie really moved me like no other film did this year.
I'm sorry, I just can't get over what I said about Move along, nothing to see here.
Paul Thomas Anderson is a great director.
He
watched
is.
Punch Drunk Love.
He really
back in
is.
2018, and
Oh, he's one of the
that
best.
good.
He's one of the best filmmakers working today. This is the best movie I've seen this year, and let me explain why I feel that way. First off, the story is absolutely incredible. Yes, on paper, this sounds like something I would never, ever. This sounds like something that would be questionable, but the way that Paul Thomas Anderson was able to execute the story, by making the characters feel real and fleshed out, and having the best script of the year, the best original screenplay of the year, with how funny it was. That's how you execute the story so well. And I already mentioned the screenplay, but the screenplay is just absolutely incredible because it carefully balances the romance, the comedy, and the dramatic tones to it. Excuse me. And it does it so well. And plus, you have characters. Plus, he did an incredible job with making the characters feel like real people. I mean, I swear, this is something that you just want to go up to the screen and like hang out with these guys. it's also very well directed too. This is one of the best directed. This is one of the very, very best directed movies I've seen this entire year. How he directs, you not only see the vision and passion he had for this, but the way he directs the actors in it was just absolutely incredible. The acting is absolutely terrific. I'm glad Soren mentioned this because Elena Haim and Cooper Hoffman both deliver the best breakthrough performances I've seen in 2020. Some of the best breakthrough performances I've seen in 2021. How they acted in this movie was just absolutely incredible. The rest of the acting was fantastic too, from like Tom Waits to like Sean Penn to Bradley Cooper, although he's not in the movie that much, but who cares anyway? Who cares anyway? And Benny Safdie, who plays the guy trying to run for mayor, he was incredible too. All the other actors I mentioned were incredible too. The soundtrack is the best I've heard this year since some of the song choices they made for the film was absolutely incredible. On top of that, you also get Johnny Greenwood's excellent musical score too. The cinematography was absolutely phenomenal. The editing was terrific. The pacing, amazing. Yes, at times it could be slow burn, which I can understand why some people wouldn't love it, but to me it worked because it fit the tone, realism, and atmosphere of the film. That's why it worked for me. The production values and costume design are seriously some of the best I've seen put to film this entire year, since it really does feel like you're back in 1973 where the film's setting takes place. And not only that, and I was also very surprised with how funny it was too. Like, when I saw this in theaters, oh my god, I fell out of my chair 2 times. 2 times! What? From laughing while watching this movie. That's how you know that the jokes in this movie worked so well. And without a doubt, the ending is one of the best, is easily one of the very best endings I've ever seen put to film this entire year. My god, the ending really was deeply moving and just really won my heart over. I just absolutely love this movie. It is, Paul Thomas Anderson did an incredible job with this one. He did an incredible job with it. This is not only the best movie I've seen in 2021. It's one of the most extraordinary and deeply moving films I have ever seen in my life. I'm gonna go as far as to say that it's one of the best coming of age movies I've ever seen. And I'm also going as far as to say I might get some disagreements, and that's totally alright. I really do think this is Paul Thomas Anderson's best movie since There Will Be Blood. And Boogie Nights.
I drink your milkshake.
You know, I could go for a milkshake myself.
Yeah. But in all seriousness though, this is easily a 10 out of 10, baby! Well done, Paul Thomas Anderson.
All right,
well done.
And right now, I have a little ranking of Paul Thomas Anderson movies. So, my number 9, and pretty much everyone's number 9, is Inherent Vice. Number 8 is The Master. Number 7 is Hard 8. Number 6 is actually Boogie Nights.
Wow.
Number 5 is Punch Drunk Love. Adam Sandler should do more dramas.
Yes.
Number 4 is Licorice Pizza. Number 2, There Will Be Blood. And number 1...
Soren?
What's number 3 and number
What's
1?
What's number 3 and number 1?
Number 3 is
Fan
Thread,
Thread.
and number 1 is Magnolia.
Okay, okay. So this is how I would rank my pits. Obviously, number 9 is Inherent Vice. Yes, it's the weakest of his movies, but I still love.
Technical difficulties on my end. Back.
Okay. Yes, it's my least favorite of his movies, but I still loved Inherent Vice, even though it wasn't as great as even though it wasn't as masterful as his other movies. Number 8. Number 8, his first film, Hard 8. Number 7. Number 7, I had a hard time figuring out this one. Number 7, The Master. Number 6. Number 6 goes to crap. I'm trying to figure this out. You know what? Let me do this backwards. Actually, I'm sorry.
Sorry about that, guys. Some technical difficulties on my end.
It's all right. Let me do this backwards. Let me just rank it through like 1 through 9, and all right. So my number 1 is obviously There Will Be Blood. Number 2 is Boogie Nights. Number 3 is Licorice Pizza. Number 4 is Magnolia. Number 5 is Punch Drunk Love. Number 6 is Phantom Thread. Number 7 is The Master. Number 8 is Hard 8, and then I already mentioned number 9, which is Inherent Vice. So
Rest in peace, Philip Seymour Hoffman.
rest in peace, dude.
Yeah.
You were seriously one of the best actors of all time, and you still are to this day. Your legacy will still live on. Rest in peace, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah. His worst, even though I still love this movie, Inherent Vice, and then my best is still There Will Be Blood. So, all right, let's move on.
All right, so our next movie review might just be the biggest surprise of the year. Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. This is a movie that I was skeptical from the very beginning, mostly because the original 1961 classic is a masterpiece that could never be replicated. Even when it was getting positive reviews and award buzz, my skepticism remained until I actually saw this movie. The story carries on the same emotional way as the original, but it's an overall different experience. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the more modern cinematography that made the film grittier and less flashy. The production values are also spot on, as are the musical numbers. The cast is also a highlight, with Ansel Elgort, Rachel Zelger, and Rita Moreno bound to get their fair share of award consideration. So yeah, it's pretty safe to say that Steven Spielberg has done the impossible and made a remake of a classic film that actually delivers. While I wouldn't say it's one of the very best of the year, I still have to admit it. You guys were right, I was wrong. This movie is a banger. 10 out of 10.
You know what else is a good remake that improves on the original? The Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and A Star Is Born is another one. This is honestly, I would describe West Side Story as being 2021's answer to A Star Is Born. I absolutely love this movie. I feel this is one of Steven Spielberg's finest films, and one of the best remakes I've ever seen. Because not only did it stay faithful to the original film, but also to the Broadway play it was based on. Hello, Michael. Welcome to the show. The acting, it was absolutely incredible. I know some people had some problem with Ansel Elgort as Tony. I personally thought he was good. I personally thought he was very good in the film. It was great to see Rita Moreno on screen again, but it's Rachel Zegler that gives out one of the best performances I've seen this entire. It's Rachel Zegler that gives out one of the very best one of the very best performances I've seen this entire year. Not only did she deliver a fantastic performance in the film, but I was very surprised with I was very surprised by the fact that she could also sing. Her voice was so beautiful. Like whenever she started singing, I was blown away. Ariana DeBose was absolutely incredible in the film too, and I also love the actor that played on Bernardo. He was incredible too. All the acting is just incredible. I love the soundtrack. The cinematography was fantastic. The editing was fantastic too. It's very well paced throughout, and the production values and costume design was absolutely terrific too. And yeah, I just love this movie. This is easily one of the very best movies I've seen this entire year, in my opinion, and it's one of Steven Spielberg's finest movies. Absolutely one of the most entertaining films I've seen this entire year too. And I know I'm playing this a lot, but it also deserves. Ah, shit. It also deserves a 10 out of 10, baby.
Okay, I take it back. Don't take a drinking game out of this because you'll probably be drunk by this time.
Yeah, like for real.
Anyways, on to my Steven Spielberg ranking. My number 33 is 1941. My number 32 is my pick for the Foxcatcher 2017, The Post. My number 31 is Always. My number 30 is Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. My number 29, I did a review on this on episode 6, AI Artificial Intelligence. My number 28 is Temple of Doom. Number 27, The Lost World. Number 26, War of the Worlds. My number 25 is The Terminal. Number 24 is Hook. Number 23 is Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Number 22 is Warhorse. My number 21 is The BFG. My number 20 is Ready Player One. My number 19 is Adventures of Tintin. Give us that sequel already, Peter Jackson and Steven Spielberg.
Seriously.
We've been waiting for it.
Seriously.
My number 18 is West Side Story. Number 17 is Bridge of Spies. Number 16, Sugarland Express. Number 15 is Duel. My number 14 is Minority Report. My number 13 is Last Crusade. My number 12, Empire of the Sun. Number 11 is Amistad. Number 10 is Lincoln. My number 9 is Munich. Number 8, Color Purple. Number 7, E.T. Extraterrestrial. Number 6, Catch Me If You Can. Number 5, Jurassic Park. Number 4, Saving Private Ryan. Number 3, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Number 2 and number 1, I could flip back and forth. I almost had to flip a coin on it. But as of now, number 2 is Jaws, and number 1 is Schindler's List.
Nice. Nice. I'm not going to do a ranking myself because it would be really too long for me to list. So let's just move on to the next movie review.
Alright, so Nightmare Alley. This was a kick-ass noir mystery. Guillermo del Toro's use of the cinematography, production values, and music proved that only he would make a movie like this, which is ironic since it doesn't have his signature supernatural flair. The cast is also phenomenal, and the characters are extremely interesting to dive into, especially Bradley Cooper and Cate Blanchett, as they have to work off each other and discover each other's secrets. I understand why this movie isn't doing the best at the box office, and we have a certain arachnid to blame for it. I still would highly recommend another one of this year's finest, 10 out of 10.
I love this movie too. My only problem I did have with the film is that I don't think it was necessary to be like 150 minutes long. You could have easily like shaved down like 15 minutes of it. I understood why it needed to be this long, but there was some parts that I did feel could have been shaved down. But despite that, I love this movie. The story was fantastic. The script was great. The directing was fantastic, as always, by Guillermo del Toro. The acting was great. Bradley Cooper delivers one of his best performances ever, I should say. Um, the other actors, including Kate Blanchett, Rooney Mara, Willem Dafoe, Ron Perlman, they all give up fantastic performances. The editing was terrific. The cinematography was beautiful. I love the musical score. It's very well paced, despite my problem with the runtime. The production values and costume design were terrific, and there is some tension filled moments in it, and the ending is one of the most powerful endings I've ever seen put to film this entire year. I've ever seen put to film this entire year. So yeah, I love this movie. It's not the best. It's not the best that Guillermo del Toro has done, or one of his very best, but still, I still love this movie, and I definitely give Nightmare Alley a 9.5 out of 10 or an A.
All right, our next movie review is an adventure 19 years in the making. Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was very good.
Oh my God, this movie.
Now we're gonna go non-spoilers first, but then after a little warning, we're gonna dive into spoilers. So be on the lookout.
Yeah, let me just get this out of the way first. Obviously, you guys know what we're gonna give this. A 10 out of 10 or an A plus.
Yep, same here. All right, so we're gonna go into spoilers in a few seconds, and if you haven't seen this movie, do mute your video for a little bit, and then after we give the signal, you can continue listening to it.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
there's a lot we have to discuss. So yeah.
Spoiler mode on.
Spoiler.
Yeah, and
let me just say this: when I do this, that means the spoiler is on. But when I do this, it means we're done.
all right, so it's safe to say it lives up to the hype. Peter Parker's story arc continues to shine as everything gets worse and more complicated as the film goes along, further straining the relationship he's had, including his two best friends. The new characters, including Doctor Strange and everyone that you've seen in the trailers, are there, but they're not just shoehorned in for fan service and member berries like a certain sequel we'll get to later did. They just have a purpose in the story and lead to some of the best visual effects and action sequences of the entire MCU. The music is the best Michael Giacchino has done for the Spider-Man trilogy, and there are certain moments that'll leave a tear in your eye, both in happiness and sadness. So, also, can we all just sleep peacefully knowing that Tom Rothman produced a Daredevil movie and didn't totally fuck it up?
Like, for real.
Not to mention, it completely confirms that Marvel doesn't have to reboot the Defender series just to put them in their movies and Disney Plus shows.
Right.
Yeah.
Another thing I have to appreciate is that Norman Osborn actually ditches the goofy-looking Green Goblin mask for an outfit that actually looks more like the comics and takes advantage of its goblin-like face.
Yeah.
Speaking of changing costumes, let's just also agree that the outfit Electro changes into looks a lot better than when he looked like Dr. Manhattan in the last movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that look was from the Ultimate Comics series.
And
Exactly.
there are certain moments where it actually came close to shedding a tear in the theater. The first was when Ame gets axed off by the Goblin and Peter blames himself for it.
Oh my God, that was seriously one of the most emotional scenes I've ever seen put to film this entire year.
The second was when both Andrew and Toby showed up, both to convince Tom Holland to defeat the Sinister Four, I guess?
5.
5.
5. And to play off each other in case of their similarities and differences. Loved ones who
Yes.
die in their arms, mechanical and/or mechanical weapon, etc. Next
When
was
I
when
first saw Toby and Andrew in the theaters, all the men in me were cheering away.
Oh my god! When they first came up on screen, not only was the audience and like I was in the theater with in awe, but I was also like what? What? Are you serious?
another movie I have to mention is when Andrew actually redeemed himself by saving MJ at the climax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also the ending where Tom Holland actually accepts that Doctor Strange has to erase Spider-Man's identity from the public in order to keep these multi-dimensional characters in their respective realities.
Exactly, and yeah, it's sad that they have to do that, but it's just like, think about all the destruction that would have happened if think about all the consequences that would happen if that choice wasn't made.
Yeah, and did you know that before the filmmakers decided upon the multiverse story arc, Kraven the Hunter would have been the villain?
Oh,
I've heard
wow.
rumors about that. And I think people who will scrutinize this version of Spider-Man as being Iron Man Jr. will most likely be satisfied with the ending, since he moved on from Stark Industries and made his own suit.
Right.
And the last thing I have to mention before we turn off the spoiler talk, the Venom cameo.
Yeah.
And the teaser for Multiverse of Madness.
Yes. Well, okay, I'll say this. I'm not the biggest fan. I can't stand those Venom movies. But the way Venom was used in the mid credit scene was actually very well done.
Plus, you're probably happy that this version of Venom isn't going to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Okay, it kind of is since some of the symbiote got left, but you know what I mean.
I know what you're talking about.
And
yeah.
Andrew Garfield admits that he hasn't fought aliens.
Alright,
Please.
it.
That's it for the
Alright.
spoiler talk.
Yeah, spoiler mode off.
Yep.
Yes.
Spoiler mode off.
So, to sum it all up, if you haven't seen this movie, what the hell are you doing watching this podcast?
Go watch this in a theater as soon as you can, please.
Yeah, go see this at the local theater and see this movie. Don't pirate it. Don't wait until it's on digital or Blu-ray. Just see it in theaters and give Marvel and the cinema the money they deserve and need right now.
Yeah,
10 out
really.
of 10.
Yeah. This is I don't want to play this theme again, this sound again, but it's just a 10 out of 10 for sure. It's just we already mentioned it's a 10 out of 10, so this is easily one of the best movies I've seen this entire year, and it's just I never thought. And you know what's something? This is the third Marvel Cinematic Universe movie that I gave that rating to. The others being Black Panther and Avengers Endgame. I never thought I would give it that rating, but this movie really. But being a huge Spider-Man fan, being a huge fan of the character, it really blew away my expectations for this film. It blew me away. Jose put this. Please Scooby do this shit. Group one, strange.
Which is pretty ironic since James Gunn actually wrote a couple of Scooby-Doo movies.
2 of them, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that wasn't the best Scooby-Doo I've done. It's just Scooby-Doo's not my thing. I just that's just me though.
And he shared a fan art of someone with Scooby-Doo dressed up as Spider-Man as a response to the quote.
Nice.
And I'm sure this is a better Scooby-Doo movie than the one we got last year.
Scoop. AKA,
Hey,
how to not bring Scooby-Doo to a new generation.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, next review. The King's Man. This was one of those prequels that was a solid action film on its own, but doesn't really justify its own existence. Like, at all. The production values, fight scenes, and acting are spot on, especially Ray Fiennes and Rice Evans, who are hands down the best parts. But the story seems generic and the tone is all over the place, switching between fun and stylish Kingsman film and great World War One movie. Was kind of a pet peeve, but I don't know if this is a spoiler, but Rasputin is built up as the big bad, but gets killed off within the hour mark. Thus
That was
leaving
so
room for
stupid.
much less prominent and weaker villain to show up for the rest of the movie. So not bad, but by any means, but super underwhelming. 6 out of 10.
I was disappointed by this one, but to be fair, I have seen worse this year. I like the acting, the musical score was very good, the cinematography was very good too, and I did like the action sequences and the production values and costume design, but the rest of the movie was a mess.
Yeah. My advice for a better prequel includes Revenge of the Sith, the Animatrix, things like that. And for video games, Halo Reach, Kingdom Hearts Sparked by Sleep.
Yeah. As someone, and you know, I've defended. I will still defend Kingsman: The Golden Circle till the day I die. But it's just like this movie, this new Kingsman movie was a huge disappointment, and it's not a terrible movie by any means necessary, but it really could have been a lot better with its story, directing, writing, editing, pacing, and other things. I really wish it could have been a lot better, and the visual effects were a mess too. So
Yeah, I will always defend Golden Circle, mostly because this is the second movie that Taron Egerton and Elton John shared the movie.
yeah, overall, not bad, but it could have been a lot better. 5.5 out of 10 or a C plus.
Alright, I'm gonna pull my best Morpheus for this one. What if I told you that there was a Matrix movie worse than Revolutions?
Oh no.
The Matrix Member Berries. Yeah, I'm not calling it Resurrections. I'm calling it Matrix Member Berries. Because that's exactly what this movie is. This movie has almost the exact same plot as the first movie. Neo is living his normal life with some doubts about reality, only to be told by not Morpheus that his reality isn't real, and he's destined to be the one to free everyone from the Matrix.
Well,
All the
that
while-
reminds me. Did you know that the real Morpheus in the Matrix Online video game died?
I actually did not know that.
That would explain a lot.
Yeah.
All the while, he hooks up with Trinity and has to fend off not Smith and the agents. I'm not kidding. This movie is pretty much a watered-down version of the original classic. Only they try to go all meta by having Neo be this video game designer where they're like, oh, this original product is so groundbreaking, and no matter how hard we'll try to do it again, we'll never make Lightning Strike twice, and we'll just be seen as yet another franchise. Also, they try to make it nostalgic by placing random clips from the previous 3 movies, where all they do is make you remember how much better the original trilogy is. That's not meta, that's member berries. That's
That-
the word is.
That
That's
is
what
member berries.
That's member berries. Meta berries? The acting is
Yeah, and that reminds me, in my opinion, I would
Meta
rather
berries,
watch
thank you.
the 2003 sequels, play Enter the Matrix, Path of Neo, watch the Animatrix, read the comics, and all that merchandise.
Yeah, same.
Because
The acting is-
when you think about it, Enter the Matrix has an hour of live-action cutscenes made during the 2003 sequels, and I taught you two about that, and it's shocking that they did that.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Anyways, the acting in Matrix Member Berries is trying way too hard to emulate the original. The twists are so obvious. The effects aren't nearly as good as the previous movies, and instead of Neo doing kung fu, half the action sequences are just him waving his hands around to push people away and making things explode. So why, Wachowskis? Why do you do this? Why don't you just give up after making bomb after bomb after bomb for more than your own ego? Is it trying to recapture the magic of the first Matrix? That movie was special, revolutionary, and a landmark in science fiction media, and you can never duplicate it. You must be able to see it, Wachowskis. You can't win. It's pointless to keep making movies. Why, Wachowskis? Why? Why do you persist? Because you choose to? Regardless of why, especially if you just take the blueprint and skip this cash grab, 4 out of 10.
I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go as far as to like tell them to like retire.
Yeah. Even the Path of Neo game is meta in a good way because it shows that the glitches are explained, and it has a pretty funny moment where Neo goes to a Senate hearing about ban violent video games, only all of a sudden you see the agents.
I see. I won't go as far as Soren to tell them to just retire from filmmaking or stop all this. It's just, but I do agree with him that they need to come up with something original and unique next time.
Yeah, and I feel like they're better at making video games.
Yeah, really. I don't hate this movie. There's a lot that I did like about it. I like the acting, especially by Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss. I like the musical score. I like the cinematography. And I actually like the visuals and the action sequences, although they're not quite as memorable as the ones from the previous film. But despite that, though, those are the only good things I had with the film. Everything else was just disappointingly mediocre. It was just a mediocre sequel, and it's easily the worst of the Matrix sequels.
Yeah, and that reminds me, the ending of a third movie is a little different in the video game.
Yeah.
Because instead of Neo sacrificing himself for Smith, Smith becomes a giant monster of rubble.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Even the Wachowskis themselves explained it to the players.
I remember Doug Walker talking about it in his Revolutions video.
But yeah, it's just, look, there's a difference. Look, I don't have a problem with nostalgia value as long as it's subtle to the story. But unlike Spider-Man: No Way Home and Ghostbusters: Afterlife, where the nostalgic factor actually fit the tone of the film, here the nostalgic factor in The Matrix Resurrections just feels shoehorned in.
Yeah, and I have a good list of better fan service movies than this, like No Way Home, Rogue One, Ghostbusters: Afterlife, and Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed is an honorable mention.
I wasn't a fan of Rogue One, but I would definitely watch that over The Matrix Resurrections again.
Yeah, and another good fan service movie, I think, is, I'm just trying to remember. Yeah, The Suicide Squad, because James
Oh,
Gunn
yeah!
he knows a lot about DC.
Yeah!
And he even brought in the creator of the run of the comics, John Ostrander.
That's great. Yeah, that's another one that's way better than this. Look, I don't hate this movie. I've seen way worse this year. Some people are seeing this as like, some people put The Matrix Resurrections as one of the worst films of the year. To me, I just thought it was a mediocre movie. I just thought it was a mediocre sequel. I do agree though that it is the worst of the Matrix sequels though, which is why I'm giving it a 5 out of 10.
Yeah. Do yourself a favor and watch the Animatrix, the 2003 sequels, and play the games.
Yeah, really. Not a terrible movie by any means necessary, but it was just a mediocre sequel that really did not need to happen.
And also in the Path of Neo game, the player lets you choose between taking the red pill for the tutorial or the blue pill for quitting the game. And when you take the blue pill, Morpheus would say, "Perhaps I was wrong about you, Neo. I'm sorry you won't be joining us."
Nice. Yeah, honestly, I feel like taking the blue pill after seeing
And
this.
Lawrence Fishburne was the only actor to return for that game.
Wow.
I remember telling you.
Oh yeah, you did. um, but yeah, I'm just better off taking the blue. You're just better off taking the blue pill by just skipping this movie, guys. Look, say what you want about. Excuse me. Say what you want about Reloaded and Revolutions. They did something different with the story.
Yeah, and same for the games and the Animatrix. Because the Animatrix had a lot of great animated shorts that helped expand the side story and backstory.
Exactly. Look, I do want to see, like, I do want to look, as much as I really didn't like this movie, I do want to see Lana Wachowski do some, still continue, like, doing movies. It's just she should probably come up with something different next time. Just something different and unique.
If only she could make a remake of Path of Neo for modern gamers.
I would definitely like to see that.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to the next movie review.
Alright, our next movie review is Sing 2. This was pretty much more the same as the last movie. A half-baked plot, predictable character arcs, an all-star cast that does their best but just there for star power, so many pop songs to fill the album to the brim, comedy that rarely lands, solid animation/visuals, and an overall mediocre experience. If you were into the first movie, you'll pretty much like this one just the same, but if you don't like Illumination, I'd say save your money. 5 out of 10.
I liked the first Sing movie. I do think it's my favorite of the Illumination Entertainment films, but I do think this is a bit of a step down from the first film. I mean, I did like the voice acting. I love the animation. I love the soundtrack, and there are a couple of funny moments in it, and it's decently edited too. But the story does feel a bit predictable. The script could have used some more work, and also the film's directing is decent too. Don't get me wrong. And the film's pacing could have used some more work too, and it does go for those cliches and the predictability that we've seen in other films before. Overall, I do think it's a decent film, but it's just decent fluff that you expect from Illumination Entertainment, which is why I give Sing 2 a 6 out of 10.
Yep. As for our final movie review, The Tragedy of Macbeth.
Yes, I watched this last night. This thing blew me away.
For yet another film adaptation of Shakespeare's story, this is another one that delivers. Denzel Washington gives it his all as the Sky's King, and Frances McDormand does a great performance as well. The direction by Joel Coen is also stellar, with the black and white cinematography and atmospheric, sometimes abstract imagery. Makes me think this was made in the 1940s or something.
Like, for real.
All I can say to summarize is this. If Ethan Coen doesn't want to make movies anymore, I say Joel has the potential for a thriving solo career. 10 out of 10.
I love this movie. I'm with you, Soren. This movie was absolutely incredible. I love the story. I loved the script and directing by Joel Coen. The acting was absolutely incredible. Denzel Washington and Frances McDormand both deliver some of the best performances I've seen this entire year. The rest of the acting is absolutely terrific too. The musical score by Carter Burwell was terrific. The cinematography is one of the very best I've seen this entire year. I'm really glad Joe Coen made the brilliant decision to film this in black and white, because it really does feel like something it really does feel like you're watching a film from like either the 40s or 50s. The editing is fantastic. It's very well paced throughout. Don't expect a lot of action for this film too, because there's not a lot of action sequences in it. But when there is, holy shit, it's powerful and intense. The production, and it has excellent production values and costume design, and the ending was absolutely incredible. One of the best endings I've seen for the film this entire year. Yeah, the tragedy of Macbeth is one of the best movies I've seen this year. It's one of the most powerful, mesmerizing, and triumphant movies I've seen this year, and it absolutely, once again, deserves a 10 out of 10 or an A+. It's one of the year's very best movies.
And don't worry, guys, this is the last time we're ever gonna do this sound effect tonight.
Yeah.
I know you're all probably sick of it.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's it for all of our movie reviews, and we have a couple discussions before we get to the main event. First off is the National Film Registry's annual selections. Okay, let me just look this up. Anyways, here we are.
Take your time.
Number 1 is Ringling Brothers Parade Film. Number 2 is Jubilo. Number 3 is The Flying Ace. Number 4 is Hellbound on Train. Number 5 is Flowers and Trees. Number 6 is Strangers on a Train. Number 7, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Number 8 is Evergreen. Number 9 is Requiem 29. Number 10, The Murder of Fred Hampton. Number 11, Osage Putnam's gonna freak out. Pink Flamingos.
That helped inspire the work of Brandon Rogers.
Yeah. Number 12 is Sounder. Number 13 is The Long Goodbye. Number 14 is Cooley High. Number 15, Richard Pryor Live in Concert. Number 16 is Chichana. Number 17 is The Wobblies. Number 8, Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Number 19 is A Nightmare on Elm Street. Number 20, Stop Making Sense. Number 21, Who Killed Vincent Chin. Number 22, The Watermelon Woman. Number 23 is Selena. Number 24 is Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. And number 25, Wall-E.
Nice.
Anyways, top 15 films of 2010. Some honorable mentions include Winter's Bone, Super, Tron Legacy, Tangled, Book of Eli, The King's Speech, even though it didn't deserve Best Picture, Fish Tank,
Overrated.
and Shutter Island.
That film, The King's Speech, is very overrated, honestly.
Number 15 is Kick-Ass. Number 14 is Buried. Number 13, Legend of the Guardians, Owls of Ga'Hoole. Number 12, Blue Valentine. Number 11, The Fighter. Number 10, Batman Under the Red Hood. Number 9, The Town. Number 8, True Grit. Number 7, 127 Hours. Number 6, Black Swan. Number 5, Let Me In. Number 4, How to Train Your Dragon. Number 3, The Social Network. Number 2, Toy Story 3. And number 1, Inception.
Nice. I don't have a list, but I will list off my top 10 of 2010. I'll go ahead and list off my top 10 of 2010. Number 10, Winter's Bone. Number 9,
Winter's Bone. This joke has been used 3 times.
Yeah, really. Number 9 is the Coen Brothers on True Grit. Number 8 is shit. Number 8 is The Kids Are All Right. Number 7, my favorite documentary film of 2010, Inside Job. Number 6, Number six, Darren Aronofsky's Black Swan. Oh no, wait, that's actually number 5, actually, because number 5 on my number 5 is actually. Oh no, wait, no, god damn it. Sorry. All right, number 6 is. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let me go over this one last time. Well, obviously my number 1 film of 2010 is The Social Network. Number 2 is Christopher Nolan's Inception. Number 3 is Black Swan. Number 4 is Danny Boyle's 127 Hours. Number 5 is The Fighter by David O. Russell. Number 6, Toy Story 4. Number 6, Toy Story 3. I know a lot of people are shocked that this is low on this is not in the top 5, but I still love this movie.
It's in the top 10. That's all that matters.
Oh yeah, definitely. Number 6. I'm sorry. Number 6 is number 6. I just mentioned this before. Is David O. Russell's son of a
David
bitch.
Russell's The Fighter.
Yeah, David O. Russell's The Fighter. Thank you. Number 7, the documentary film Inside Job. Number 8, The Kids Are Alright. Number 9, Winter's Bone. And number 10 on my list, the Coen Brothers' True Grit.
Alright, so without further ado, the main topic.
Oh boy. We all knew this was coming. And it's time we unleash the demons. It is time that we unleash the demons. What you guys all came here for tonight, for New Year's Eve, we're going to be talking about the top 15 worst movies that Soren and I saw in 2021. Now, before we get to our dishonorable mentions, let's just talk about a couple things. Number 1, I didn't see the movies that people, including Soren, were considering the worst films of the year. I never saw Thunder Force. I never saw The Woman in the Window, and I especially did not see Home Sweet Home Alone, Cinderella, or Music, or Music. Either because I didn't have enough time to see those films, or because I knew they looked like crap. Also, no, and the second and final of all, this is just our personal opinions for what we feel are the worst movies that Soren and I saw in 2021. So, don't get mad. Please do not get mad if a movie you like is on the list. Please do remember that film and other types of art is subjective. So, yeah, like I said, if you disagree with some of the picks that are on the list, that's totally all right. It is our opinion, and like I said before, that's why the comments are there to determine what you guys feel, what you guys feel are the worst films that you saw in 2021. So, let us know in the comments down below, what are the worst movies you saw in 2021. Anyway,
So,
let's waste no time and let's waste no time and get to the dishonorable mentions. As you were saying.
Okay, so my dishonorable mentions are Jungle Cruise, a movie that tried to be the next Pirates of the Caribbean and completely failed. Mortal Kombat, a movie that succeeded in its graphic fatalities but failed in story and characters. My guilty pleasure of the year, Barb and Star, Go to Vista Del Mar. The Matrix Member Berries and Diary of a Wimpy Kid, which we just talked about earlier. Neil Blomkamp's Demonic. Red Notice, a movie that puts way too much emphasis on the stars rather than the story. Clifford the Big Red Dog, it's probably the best of those live-action animation hybrids this year, but still not good. Milo Pony, A New Generation, how not to reboot this franchise. Voyagers, a complete bore fest. Teen Titans Go see Space Jam. I know it shouldn't technically count since it's more of an extended episode of the show, but I've seen better episodes of the show itself, so there's that. Anyways, I have Fast and Furious 9. Again, they drive a car up into space to take down... you get the idea.
Yeah. Fast and Furious in space!
Alright, the last ones are coming to America. A movie that Nick is going to be shocked is this isn't even in the top 15. Hitman's Wife's Bodyguards, Nephew's Cousin's Former Roommate.
Oh boy.
And
Okay.
the one that almost made it, Peter Rabbit 2.
Alright, so I only have 10 dishonorable mentions, so I'm gonna list them off really quick. Clifford the Big Red Dog, Reminiscence, one of the biggest disappointments I've seen this year. Halloween Kills. What the hell happened? Guys, what the hell happened?
Well, it had an extended cut with an alternate ending, so...
I really hope the extended cut is much better than the one I just witnessed. Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway. Don't Brief 2. AKA, you do not make the antagonist the protagonist. Voyagers, this tries to be like the Lord of the Flies in space, but it just does not work. F9, The Fast Saga, or Fast and Furious 9. Again, need I say more about this? Fast and Furious in space. I know that joke has been overused, but I honestly don't care. At this point. Next, I'm sorry, Soren. I'm sorry to those that like this movie, but Venom Let There Be Carnage, which is one of the most frustrating films I've ever had to sit through this entire year. Spyro from the Book of Saw. And last but not least, 90 Minutes of Pity Party, Boogie.
Anyways, on to the top 15. My number 15 is a movie called Snake Eyes. Nicolas Cage, what were you thinking? I mean, 2021 was the movie that you made so many great movies like Willy's Wonderland.
Soren, I think you meant Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins.
Oh, fuck me, I confused it again. Anyways, my number 15 is Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins. Question, did anyone ask for this?
Like, for real.
And I wouldn't mind so much, except this in this movie, nothing happens. And right when it looks like it was gonna lead up to something, it just cuts to black and cuts to credits. Like that. Like they're ever gonna get a sequel.
Yeah, really. I'll talk more about that in a little bit when we get to it, but yeah.
And the action sequences are just so obnoxious. Just lay off with the shaky cam already.
Yeah, really. And too much of the quick cut edits.
Yeah. So anyways, if you want to see a better G.I. Joe movie, either watch G.I. Joe Retaliation, the extended cut, or just stick with the cartoon. So yeah, my number 15 is Snake Eyes, the not Nick Cage version.
Yeah, and you know what else is a good G.I. Joe related project? Evil Con Carne, because it's basically from the perspective of Cobra Commander.
Yeah. Alright, so starting off my number 15 list is one of the most divisive movies I've seen this year. Some people love this movie, some people like it, others hated this movie. To me, I'm on the hate side with this. Number 15, we're going to start off my list. At number 15, M. Night Shyamalan Ding Don's Old.
I'll talk about it later.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Look, I know some people like this movie, and that's totally alright, but Old was one of the most inconsistent and dull movies I've ever had to sit through this entire year. The only redeeming things that are in the film were that there are some good performances by Gail Garcia Bernal, Alex Wolff, Thomas and McKenzie, and Embeth Devitz, and the cinematography was great, and I did like James Newton Howard's musical score, and there's one tension-filled sequence that I will admit did get me, but that's it. The story is an absolute mess. The script is terrible, since it has some of the worst dialogue I've ever heard in a motion picture this entire year. Especially when no human being would even say something like this in real life. It's also poorly directed. The rest of the acting is terrible. The editing was all over the place. It's so poorly paced. And minus that one tension, and minus that one scene where it did have some tension I just mentioned, the movie just lacks a lot of tension to it. And the ending, but the twist and the ending really ruined this movie. Really ruined the experience for me. Like we already mentioned this before in our last podcast, but this twist really got under my skin. Like, if this was supposed to be an experiment for the scientists and doctors to test out this medicine, this pill for these people to like age rapidly for one day, then why the hell did we see in one scene the girl getting pregnant and having a baby, only for it to die minutes later, as well as a guy suffering through a stroke?
Well, it speaks volumes when you realize that the best adaptation of anything else happens to be Stuart Little that he made.
Yeah, really. And before you say anything, before you guys say anything, I'm well aware that this was loosely based on the graphic novel Sandcastles. I have not read the graphic novel it was based on, but from what I heard, it's more ambiguous than what we just got. Than what I just watched. It's just even when the twist is revealed, it just leaves you with more questions than just answers. And that's no fun. Yeah, Old was just one of the most inconsistent and boring films I've ever had to suffer through this entire year. Easily one of M. Night Shyamalan's worst movies. And look, it's just, I do like M. Night Shyamalan, but he really needs to come up with something different next time. And also, and for the love of God, M. Night, stop relying so much on twist in movies. Yeah, number 15 on the list.
My number 14 is Chaos Walking. To be honest,
oh God.
To be honest, I kind of blocked 90% of this movie off my brain, but from what I remember, this planet filled with men who can read each other's minds, and this girl who crash lands on it, and Matt Mikkelsen is completely wasted, and it was just so boring. And wait, what was I talking about? It was not important.
Oh boy. So I guess I'm up next?
Yeah.
Alright. Number 14 is a sequel, and you're going to see a bunch of those on the list of unnecessary sequels that came out this year. Number 14, I never saw the first movie when it first came out, but after seeing this number 14 spot, I can't imagine this one being worse than what I just witnessed with this one. Number 14 is Escape Room Tournament of Champions. Who in the hell asked for this? Did Escape Room really need a sequel? Like, seriously? I don't remember much about this movie. I do remember some good things that I did like about the film. I mean, the acting was decent, the cinematography was good, was good, and I will admit some of the traps were pretty clever. But other than that, this movie was just a painful mess. was just a painful mess. The story sucks, the script is terrible, the directing's terrible. The musical score is an underwhelming mess. It's poorly edited, poorly paced, but the third act of the film not only ruined the entire experience, but it goes against anything logical. It goes against anything logical about this movie at all, and it just becomes a huge disaster by the end. Yeah, I'm sorry if I don't have that much to talk about Escape Room Tournament of Champions, but this was just one of the most forgettable, boring, and just inconsistent movies I've seen this entire year, and that's why Escape Room Tournament of Champions is number 14.
My number 13, Nick just talked about this one. M. Night Shyamalan, Ding Dong's Old. Basically, this movie tried to be this mystery thrill involving these jackasses who come to this island who age rapidly, and then there's this part where one of them grows a tumor, and then there's this part about a premature baby, and there's this whole plot twist, and while none of us hated it as much as Austin Putnam did, I mean, it is number 13 and number 15 respectively, but it's still a hell of a letdown, so that's why Old is my number 13.
Alright. Okay. Number 13 on my list is a comedy, and it is one of the dumbest comedies I've seen this entire year. Number 13 is Queen Pins.
Is this a spin-off of the feral comedy Kingpin?
No, but I wish it was. I wish it was. That would have been a much better movie than what we just got. Actually, it's supposed to be inspired, and I use that term inspired because I can't even believe that any of this would even happen in real life. It's supposed to be inspired by a true story about two housewives who commit one of the biggest scandals in history involving a $20 million coupon scam. I really have a hard time believing that this was based on a true story, because this is just one of the dumbest and most idiotic comedies I have seen this entire year. The only redeeming things in the film were that Vince Vaughn and Paul Walter Hauser do deliver some very good performances in the film, and they actually had some very good chemistry. They were easily the best things in the whole film. The cinematography is very good, and when 20% of the jokes did land, it was mostly focused on them, and that's what I liked about it. But other than that, this movie is a complete mess. The story sucks. The script is one of the worst of the year since it's so poorly written. The directing is terrible. The rest of the acting is absolutely terrible. Sorry about that. I was gonna use this to play something really quick. But I'll worry about that in a little bit. The rest of the acting is terrible. Kristen Bell, you're a very talented actress. Stop playing unlikable characters who we're supposed to feel sympathy for. Please stop playing those characters. And you know what's one of my biggest pet peeves in movies, other than toilet humor? When you have characters that come up as being comic relief just for the sake of it. And Queen Pins is one of the worst examples of this, since, look, no disrespect to Kirby Howell Baptiste, Baptiste, if that's how you pronounce it. If not, I'm sorry. No disrespect to Kirby Howell Baptiste. I'm pretty sure she tried with what she was given, but her character, but not only was her talent horribly wasted in this movie, her character is an annoying asshat. Like, she would not shut the fuck up. And there's no chemistry between Kristen Bell or Kirby Howell Baptiste whatsoever. No chemistry. 80% of the jokes fall very flat. The soundtrack annoyed the shit out of me, and so did the editing. It's very poorly paced, very poorly paced throughout. It goes for those cliches that you've seen in other movies before, but the ending was one of the worst endings I've ever seen put to film this entire year. I'm gonna have to spoil what happens in this because this really pissed me off. This really pissed me off. So, just when you thought that Belle and baptizes I'm gonna call her Kirby Howe. I'm sorry because I just it's really hard for me to pronounce this. So just when you thought Belle and Howe's characters were finally gonna get their karma after being arrested by the police for creating one of the biggest scandals in history, they pull that sympathy card where you're supposed to feel bad for these women. Where you're supposed to feel bad for them, which really annoys me to no end, and for two reasons. Number one, when Joe McHale's character, who by the way is horribly wasted in this movie, by the way, poor Joe McHale. When Joe McHale's character calls out Kristen Bell for what she did, she immediately turns the tables on him and blames him for the scandal, even though it was clearly Kristen Bell and Kirby Howe's character's fault for creating the scandal. And even when they do get karma, guess what they do next? They pull the victim card, all because we're females and we didn't do anything. You're supposed to feel bad for us. Fuck that shit, man.
It's like Fake Busters.
Yeah, but worse. This is worse than Fake Busters. No joke. This really pissed me off, especially since earlier in the film, they spent all of their money on 5 Lamborghinis and a jet plane.
How about a Lamborghini hot tub?
After I saw this movie, this clip from Big Mother Truckers, the video game, played in my head. Listen to this. Hold on.
And speaking of Lamborghinis and movie clips, I bet Walter from the Big Lebowski would be doing this.
See what happens? See what happens, Larry? See what happens? This is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass, Larry. This is what happens, Larry. See what happens, Larry? See what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass? See what happens, Larry?
Okay, I'm done. Don't want to get copyright.
Meter. And even though this literally all falls on fair use, which
Yeah.
I'll put a disclaimer after the show. But yeah, overall, Queenpins was just one of the worst. Queenpins was just one of the dumbest comedies I've seen this entire year, and it easily deserves a number 13 spot. Fuck this movie.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in FilmBrony podcast history, we have a two-way tie. Because these two movies are similar movies that I hate for similar reasons and for equal amount of hatred. My number 12 is a tie between Addams Family 2 and The Loud House movie.
That's also my number 12. That the Addams, not the Loud House movie, but Addams Family 2.
So yeah, Adam's Family 2 is what happens when MGM tries to cast in on those Hotel Transylvania movies and turn the Adams Family into this cheesy pop culture and cringy fest. The story makes no sense. The animation is trash, and it was just a totally shit experience. They're creepy, kooky, and altogether ooky, but not in a good way.
Yeah, yeah, really. Look, I'll say this: the animation is although not nowhere near great, um, was passable at best. Was passable at best, and there are a couple of actors that do give out good vocal performances, like Oscar Isaac, Charlie Theron, and Bill Hader, and Wallace Shawn. But other than that, this movie was a complete mess. The story sucks. The story sucks. The script is terrible, since it's filled with too many pop culture references, and the jokes like falling very flat on their faces, and being like juvenile and idiotic. It's poorly directed. The rest of the voice acting was terrible. The editing was a mess. It suffers through a lot of pacing issues here and there, and the message they try to go for falls very flat on its face. And there's this one scene that really pissed me off, and it feels so on the nose. You might have probably seen bits of it on the internet, but it's this scene where, including when I posted this image on Facebook, but there's a scene where it involves a product placement for Progressive.
Again, saw this on television. Why?
Why? Yeah, just... It may not be the worst animated film I've seen this entire year, and we'll get to that at number 6, but this was probably one of the most idiotic animated movies I've seen this entire year, and that's why... And honestly, I have lost all hope for the Addams Family animated film at this point. I have lost all hope. The first one was disappointing. The second one is a gigantic piece of shit.
Yeah, my advice is to stick with the ones with Christina Ricci and Raul Julia.
Yeah, the Barry Sonnenfeld live action ones. Those are way better, way better than this piece of shit sequel. That's why the Addams Family 2 is number 12 on my list. It's crappy and it's kooky, a stupid piece of poopy. I'd rather eat my dookie. I'm gonna take that pee.
And then we have the Loud House movie, which I will admit I don't exactly love the Loud House, but I will admit it's a pretty decent slice of life cartoon, and even that got a bit worse with season 4 and 5. And then we get to this movie where it became completely unrecognizable. They turned it into this musical fairy tale with dragons and ghosts and whatnot. And also half the characters are pointless and just there for fan service. You can tell they didn't care because they didn't even once mention it in season 5. And this is probably the second worst thing to ever happen to this franchise outside of Chris Savino's name being attached to it. It makes me wish it. And after this movie, Nickelodeon to just go bankrupt for all I care. So yeah, my number 12 is the Addams Family 2 and the Loud House movie.
Oh yeah, and one more thing before we get to my number 11 about the Addams Family 2. If you saw Richard Roper's Good Morning Windy City Live, he said the first Addams he did this. Da 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 da. It's not funny. Da 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 da. Save your money. And I'm gonna do it with this piece of shit sequel. Da 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 da. It's still not funny. Da 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 da. Save your money. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Go fuck yourself.
What were you expecting? The Ninja Turtles?
Were you expecting maybe the Ninja Turtles?
What makes and we have to face the music that Seth Rogen's gonna be producing an animated TMNT movie.
Oh yeah.
We'll just have to see how that turns out. But anyways, number
Hey,
11.
some pizza.
I've lost all respect for Seth Rogen at this point, which we're not even gonna mention. We're not even gonna mention like what he said on Twitter about Santa 8. We're not gonna mention that.
Yeah. Number 11 is Thunder Farce.
Oh.
Melissa McCarthy, what were you thinking? You've had potential. You've proved you had potential. Paul Feig proved that you had potential. But you keep turning to your husband, who keeps doing you favors in doing these quote-unquote comedies, if you can call it that. It's not funny. It's awkward. It's making Octavia Spencer look bad. And it further proves that the only favors your husband owes you are in the bedroom. So yeah, my number 11 is Thunder Farce.
I'm glad I stayed away from that one. I mean, after I saw Life of the Party back in 2018, I was just done with Melissa McCarthy. I was just done with Melissa McCarthy being directed by her husband. I was done with that shit. Ben Falcone, stay out of the director's chair, please. All right. Anyway, my number 11. Number 11 is the worst horror film I've seen this entire year, and it's The Unholy. Now you would think that like a movie involving you would think a horror movie that's involving like religion and miracles would make for a good horror movie, right? Wrong. The Unholy was just one of the most boring and pathetic movies I've seen this entire year. The only redeeming things that were in the film were that Cricket Brown actually gave out a very good performance as Alice. William Sadler was very good, and Katie Aselton was very good too. The cinematography was very good, and it did have a decent musical score. But that's really all there is to it. But there's nothing else that I liked about the film. The story was an absolute mess. The script is terrible. The directing sucks. The rest of the acting is terrible. I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan, but he was absolutely terrible in this movie. And God damn it, Carrie Elways. First Black Christmas and now this movie. What the hell are you doing, man? The editing is atrocious. It's poorly edited, poorly paced, and the ending is just a complete slap in the face. And also, when it came to the scares, when it came to the horror elements in the film, they of course relied on jump scares. Again, how many times do we have to how many fucking times do we have to repeat this over and over again? Unless you build tension, jump scares are not scary.
Yeah, a jump scare that had a lot of tension before it came up is the alien from Signs.
Yeah, and this year, The Night House, which is one of the most overlooked movies I saw from 2021, used jump scares properly because they build a tension. They build a lot of tension for it. Here in The Unholy, though, it's just jump scares just for the sake of it, and it just ruins the tension it's even trying to go for. Yeah, overall, The Unholy sucks. It's boring, it's not scary, and it's just downright tedious and pathetic. And yes, they do go for those cliches that we've seen in other horror films before. I forgot to mention it's also cliched. Yeah, that's why it's number 11 on the list.
Alright, so my number 10 is a movie that I'm sure Nick Peniel has a lot to say about. So I'll just play this clip and move along. If only this ad can. Damn it, another ad.
Oh boy. Do apologize for the technical difficulties, folks. We'll get to this. We'll get to this thing that Soren is talking about in just a bit.
Alright, I think this is it.
But make no mistake, this is the absolute worst movie musical I've ever seen in my life, and it's not even fun to make fun of. It's just a pathetic, shallow vanity project that only exists so a narcissistic scumbag can portray a sociopathic man-child in the most embarrassing manner imaginable. You really let them see the worst of you. You got what you always wanted. You've got your dream come true. Good for you. I should stop now. I have like 15 more of these puns in store. I really hope Evan Hansen goes surfing one day and gets eaten by a shark.
So yeah, bottom line, number 10 is Dear Evan Hansen.
I have a lot to talk about with that piece of shit movie. But we will get to that when we get to that.
I'd rather watch Tick Tick Boom.
Way better than this. Way better.
Yeah.
I'd rather watch In the Heights and West Side Story than this.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Anyway, number 10 on the list, Soren mentioned this. It's Snake Eyes G.I. Joe G.I. Joe Origins. This is not... Okay. Who the hell asked for a Snake Eyes movie? Who the hell asked for this?
Nobody.
Exactly. I guess the only redeeming things I have with the film is that the acting, including by Henry Golding, was good. It has very good production design, and the musical score was good. But that's it. Everything else is complete shit. The story sucks. The script is terrible. The directing sucks. Not to mention, the action sequences is one of the worst I've ever seen put to film this entire year. And I'll explain 2 reasons why. Number 1, the editing is an absolute mess. They relied way too much on quick cut edits to the point where you can't even tell what the hell is even going on. And worst of all, and second of all, the cinematography is a shaky mess. It is so shaky, like it's trying to be tension filled with its action sequences, that you can't even tell what the hell is even going on. It's poorly paced. It suffers through a lot of cliches that we've seen in other movies before, and the ending. That's the best way I would describe this ending. It's like hinting that we're gonna see a sequel to this. Well, Paramount, Hasbro, I have 2 words to say to you. Try again. Try again. Because judging by the fact that this movie bombed at the box office, I think most people are getting really sick and tired of seeing shit like this. I wasn't a fan of those other 2 G.I. Joe live action movies, but those movies look like fucking masterpieces compared to this. Yeah, overall, G.I. Joe, Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins is easily one of the worst movies I've seen this entire year, and and one of the most unnecessary movies I've seen this year too, and that's why it's number 10 on the list.
So yeah, I mentioned Dear Evan Hansen, and Julianne Moore and Amy Adams were wasted in that movie. Funny thing, because they were wasted in my number 8 movie as well, Woman in the Window.
You mean number 9?
My number 9, excuse me, Woman in the Window. Basically, this movie tried to be Rear Window and just fell completely flat on its face. The characters were beyond stupid, the directing is beyond stupid, the editing is beyond stupid, the ending, the climax was beyond stupid. It was just beyond stupid. I made an entire Christophan-like thoughts on this movie. That's how bad this movie is. So yeah, my number 9, Woman in Woman jumps out a window to get away from this piece of shit.
Oh my god. Okay, remember when I said it? Remember when I said at the number 11 spot that The Unholy was the worst horror film of the year? I take that back because number 9 is actually my worst horror film of the year, and it's The Forever Purge.
I'm not saying a fucking word.
Look. I'm gonna say this. This isn't as bad as like the prequel, the first Purge, not the original first Purge, the prequel. This isn't as bad as that, nor the Purge election year. But this was just one of the dumbest and most idiotic movies I've seen this entire year. Other than a couple of good performances by, I'll admit the cinematography is very good, and there's this one cool action sequence that shot in one take. That was very cool. That was pretty cool, and there are a couple of good performances by Josh Lucas, Will Patton, Will Patton, Josh Lucas, and a couple of other good performances too. But other than that, this movie's a complete mess. The story is, they went way too far with this story. Since this, and you know what's even worse about this story? This doesn't even feel like a Purge movie. It just feels like something like you see in other like political things that happen in real life, which we're not even gonna mention. The script is absolutely atrocious, filled with some of the worst dialogue of the year and some of the worst tone inconsistencies I've seen and heard in the film this entire year. The directing is terrible. The rest of the acting is shit. Like, oh my god, the guy that played the villain in the film, he was horrendous. One of the worst performances I've seen this year. I'm gonna say this about the villain. The villain is a Confederate redneck. Need I say more? Oh, it's just the action sucks. It's poorly edited. The musical score is trash, and the ending. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention the action. Not only are the action sequences terrible, minus the one cool action scene that shot in one take, but as I stated before, they relied so much on jump scares just for the sake of it. Again, when are you going to realize that relying on jump scares just for the sake of it without building any tension isn't scary? And the ending is a complete joke. One of the worst endings I've seen put to film this entire year. Because it sets up for because it just sets it all up for a sequel. Which oh my god. I'm gonna do what Austin did. I know I'm basically copying what Austin did, but when I heard this news, I was like, son of a bitch. Please don't let there be a sequel. Please don't let there be a sequel. Please don't let there be a sequel.
We're getting a sequel, aren't we?
Or Daffy Duck does it. No!
Or, I'll do you guys even better. Let me just, pull up this, hold on. Shit, if only I could just, I'll do you even better. Oh, shit, I completely messed up the timing. Let me try again. Son of a...
Why would you be answering Twilight's question?
Yeah, this movie is a complete joke. Just the Forever Purge is just one of the worst movies I've seen this year. Look, this isn't as bad as the prequel, the first Purge, or my least favorite, The Purge Election Year. But make no mistake, this is one of the worst movies I've seen this year, and it easily deserves the number 9 spot. Fuck this movie.
So yeah, as for my number 8, I'm gonna pull up this picture again because it's just so fucking hilarious. Yep, Earwig and the Witch is my number 8. Holy shit, this movie is an absolute blunder. I don't think this is even a Studio Ghibli movie. It's a Studio Ghibli mockbuster. Like you'd see in the dollar store, like Finding Jesus or Titanic, The Legend Goes On, or What's Up.
Okay.
The animation's completely unfinished. The story's a complete ripoff of Kiki's Delivery Service, Spirited Away, etc. None of the characters are likable, and the result is hilarious. This is probably the Room of animated films. So, I don't...
Damn!
I mean, I almost want to buy the Blu-ray just so that I can experience it again. In fact, I almost recommend this movie. But it is not good. Thus, the number 8 spot, Earwig and the Witch.
Okay. Damn, man. Oh my god. That was so funny. That was so funny. And back to that. Well, back to that. Willem Dafoe's. Yeah. Oh my god. Alright. Cut all the silliness. Number 8, and I'm pretty sure all of you saw this coming because of how much Soren and I ranted on this film earlier. Netflix's Don't Look Up.
Yours is way high on my list.
Look, other than Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, Mark Rylance delivered some good performances, and the film having great cinematography and visual effects, there was nothing else that was good about the film. We already mentioned why this film sucks, but I am gonna mention one thing that I almost forgot to talk about. I'm gonna mention this one thing that really pissed me off that I forgot to talk about. Even when it tries to go for its messages involving climate change, media and other political issues, it all of a sudden shoots itself in the foot. It all of a sudden shoots itself in the foot by basically contradicting itself, and just like shoves in some more political messages and agenda like we're not even gonna get it. Like, what the hell? You just ruined the entire story because of that. The musical choices are terrible. The soundtrack is terrible. The editing is shit. The rest of the acting is terrible. The story sucks. The writing tries way too hard to be like Doctor Strangelove. It's poorly directed. The editing is some of the worst I've ever experienced in a film this entire year, since it felt like a toddler edited this movie. And the ending, and not only did the film rely so much on cliches that we've seen in other films before, but the ending is so goddamn predictable, as we explained before. Fuck this movie. Don't Look Up.
Screw it.
Don't Look Up is just one of the worst films I've seen this entire year. It's one of the very, very worst Oscar bait movies I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, this is almost as bad as like the worst Netflix Oscar bait movie, which was Hillbilly Elegy. It's almost as bad. Almost.
And we understand that some people like this movie, like Leah Scott in the chat.
And that's fine.
Just
That's-
understand that we
This
just
is-
couldn't get through it.
Yeah, it was just one of the most infuriating films I've seen this entire year. And Leah Scott, I do respect your opinion too. Same thing with you, Nicholas Lee. Just understand where we're coming from and why we didn't like this movie. Yeah. Overall, Adam McKay, please, for the love of God, come up with something original and unique next time. Or
Yeah,
Or-
as Christopher would say, for the love of God,
For-
make something original!
yeah, really. For the love of God, come up with something original. Make something original. Yeah, just or how about this? How about this? Go back to Will Ferrell and save his ass.
Yeah,
And
he
by-
really needs it.
Yeah.
Make
And
it
by-
Anchorman 3 for once.
Yeah,
Finish
really.
it off.
And by ass, I mean his career.
Yeah.
Yeah, Don't Look Up, or as I like to call it, Don't Look Down, is my number 8 worst film of the year. Sorry to those that like it. I just couldn't stand it. Sorry.
My number 7 is Space Jam: A New Advertisement.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Oh my
This
god.
was not a movie. This is a 2-hour HBO Max trailer. Hell, even fails as a movie on its own. LeBron James is barely an actor. Don Cheadle is completely wasted. Half the references are just there just for the hell of it. And they haven't had the audacity to have Porky Pig rapping and have that Big Chungus meme from 2 years ago.
yeah, and I explained to you that the animator who did that scene, he wasn't aware that it became a meme.
Yeah. So yeah, Space Jam 2 is my number 7, and I'm sure Nick has a lot to say about it.
I'll get to that in a little bit when we get to the top 3. Anyway, number 7 on the list, Soren mentioned this one, and it's Chaos Walking. How the fuck do you waste a good concept involving seeing and hearing people's minds? How the fuck do you waste a good concept like that? I mean, it should come as no surprise that it doesn't surprise me that the film suffered through a troubled production, but it's just that when Charlie Kaufman was originally going to write this movie, but then dropped out, and then which led to different writers writing this movie. But Jesus Christ, this movie was just absolutely terrible, and it shows why I'm getting really sick of YA adaptations at this point.
Yeah.
I'll admit, there were some good performances by Tom Holland and Mads Mikkelsen, and the cinematography is very good, and the visuals are pretty impressive to look at. I will say that. But that's about the only redeeming things that I found with the film. Everything else is just absolutely terrible, from its story to its shitty script to its terrible directing. The rest of the acting is bad. Daisy Ridley, I love Daisy Ridley, but she's horribly miscast in this movie. Nick Jonas, who I do like, is horrible in this movie, and his talent is horribly wasted in this movie. The musical score is terrible. The editing is shit. The pacing is sluggish as hell. And even though I did say some of the visuals look really good, the visual effects in the film are an absolute mess. And not only does it go for those cliches that we've seen in other films before, but the costume design was just absolutely pathetic. It doesn't even feel like you're back in the old times. Ugh. And the ending is an underwhelming mess, too. So, yeah, overall, this movie sucks. This movie sucks. I hate this movie, and I just... This movie really sucks. It's one of the most boring, and inconsistent movies I've seen this entire year, and it easily deserves the number 7 spot on the list.
My number 6 is the latest installment of the 50 Shades of Grey cinematic universe, After We Fell, or as Nicholas Lee once called it, After We Go to Hell. I can't stop watching that clip in a previous episode. But anyways, I will admit that there are some couple scenes that I feel like had the tiny bit of effort put into them, but it's not by much. The romance is still schlocky, the drama is still mediocre, the sex scenes are still idiotic, like Tommy Wiseau directed them or something. And it's just like, this movie was based off Harry Styles fanfiction that you can read for free on Wattpad. Like, I read fanfictions on my DeviantArt page. Where's my movie deals off of those? I bet I could win more Oscars than Titanic and Lord of the Rings combined. Or not. Not. So yeah, my number 6 is After We Go to Hell.
Oh yeah, Eddie also put this too about Chaos Walking.
Chaos boring.
Chaos boring indeed. Yeah, it was a boring film indeed. Alright. Soren's gonna mention this film in his top 2. My number 6 is the worst animated film of the year. The Boss Baby Family Business.
Yeah. Good thing Tobey Maguire decided not to voice
Don't spoil it.
Sorry, I wasn't talking about, you know what. I was just saying I'm glad he didn't return.
Oh. Sorry about that.
It's fine. Excuse me. So, oh my god, this movie was just a chore to sit through. This movie was just one of the worst films. This is seriously one of the worst animated films I've ever seen. Other than Ariana Greenblatt being the only actress that gives out a decent vocal performance, actually gives out a solid vocal performance, and some of the backgrounds of the animation looking nice, this movie is a mess. This movie's an absolute mess. Look at what Nick... Family bitch. Oh my god. Nicholas Lee, well done. Oh my god. I'm pretty sure Soren will talk about some things in a little bit, but I'm just gonna recap what I didn't like about the film. The story's shit, the script is terrible, one of the worst of the year, the directing is terrible. Even though the animation is a step up from the first film with some impressive backgrounds, the human design is what ruined it. Like, some of them reached to a point of just uncanny valley, including the creepy baby who just managed to be even more creepy than the sun baby from the Teletubbies. Yeah.
Look at Jose's comment.
Ah! the shit ass baby ass.
Yeah, that movie's atrocious.
Yeah, it is. It is. The rest of the voice act, minus Ariana Greenblatt, everybody else is terrible. Alec Baldwin and James Marsden try way too hard, but way too hard to overact. But I want to talk about two of the worst performers in the film. One is, oh my god, the actress that voiced Amy Sedaris, who voiced Tina Templeton. Oh, she's as if Alec Baldwin's performance as Tim wasn't annoying enough. Amy Sedaris' vocal performance as Tina Templeton was just so atrocious.
Yeah, she also worked on yet another not as good DreamWorks animated film, and it's Shrek the Turd, but she also voiced in a surprisingly good one, Puss in Boots.
Yeah. But easily the worst performance in the film. And it really sinks my heart that I have to mention this actor. You know what, Michael, funny you mentioned that. I'd rather watch Spirit Untamed, a way better DreamWorks movie in 2021 than than another Boss Baby dumpster fire. Funny you mentioned that, because not only do I feel the exact same way, even though I found Spirit Untamed to be just a mediocre animated film, but they also had the audacity to reference Spirit, the first Spirit movie. As if Chicken Little referencing Raiders of the Lost Ark wasn't bad enough.
Yeah. Or like Fig Busters referencing The Exorcist.
Oh my god. Anyway, back to this. The worst performance in the film. And it really breaks my heart because this guy's such a talented actor, but Jeff Goldblum gives out one of the worst performances of the year as the villain, Dr. Erwin Armstrong. His performance was so bland, his performance was so shallow, that it just made me question what he was even doing there in the first place. And not only that, his villain is one of the worst I've ever seen. You know what? It is one of the worst I've ever seen. It is one of the worst I've ever seen in the DreamWorks animation. I'm completely serious. He is so stupid and shallow that you just cannot help but just feel embarrassed. Oh my god. The soundtrack is terrible, the editing is shit, the pacing is shit. All the jokes fall very flat on their faces since all of it is beyond like juvenile and idiotic, especially with some of the references. Oh yeah, and funny how they also not only mentioned Spirit, how they not only also reference Spirit by putting a clip on it, but also having a product placement for Mentos.
Crucify me on a cross already.
Like, for real. I'm not gonna play this clip yet until we get to my number 3 spot. But boy, it's just... But boy, do I feel like I just want to let my rage out for this one. With this one. Yeah. Oh yeah, and... Yes, Jose, I would rather watch Cars 2 than the Boss Baby 2 ever again.
Or as I call it, Mater's Tall Tales, the movie.
Yeah,
That's
really.
less misleading.
Yeah, really. Oh my god. Yeah, Boss Baby Family Business is one of the... And I'm going to mention this thing in a little bit when we get to my number 3 spot. Okay. And if you're wondering about that excuse I'm going to mention in a little bit, oh, don't worry. We'll get to that when we get to my number 3 spot. Don't worry, because I have a lot to talk about with this fucking excuse. Yeah, overall, the Boss Baby Family Business is the worst animated movie I've seen this year, and it's honestly my least favorite DreamWorks animation film. It made Shrek the Third, the first Boss Baby, and
Shark Tale.
Shark Tale all look like masterpieces in comparison. Oh yeah, and one more thing. This movie also goes the Magic Voyage route by just throwing in constant noise just for the sake of getting the kids' attention. Just it's just all the noise. If there's one thing I hate about animated movies, about bad animated movies, it's all the noise.
Oh, but noise.
Let me play this. Let me play this really quick.
One thing I hate. All the noise.
Sorry. Let me repeat that one last time.
One thing I hate. All the noise.
Just... Yeah, do not watch the Boss Baby Family Business. It is not worth your time. Don't even show your kids this either, because it's gonna make them look stupider.
Yeah.
Yeah, easily the worst animated film of the year. DreamWorks Animation and to Tom McGrath, you ought to be ashamed of yourselves!
Well, they just released the trailer for The Bad Guys, so, there's a sign of redemption, possibly.
I hope so. Yeah, Boss Baby Family Business, or as I like to call it, the Bitch Baby Family Bitch Ass, is my number 6.
That's my number 5.
Family bullshit. Never mind.
As for my number 5, what do you get when you cross a dying Christmas franchise with the director of Dirty Grandpa?
Oh no. Oh my god.
Home Sweet
Home Alone.
Basically, they completely, let me rephrase it. Basically, they made the kid extremely unlikable and underdeveloped, and the robber is actually sympathetic. Like, how do you fuck it up so badly?
Yeah. My nephew Corey, he's a huge fan of the first 2 Home Alone movies, and I haven't let him see the new one because I know it's that bad.
And yeah, Nicholasly, Hell Sweet Hell Alone, more like it.
Yeah, really. Yeah, really. Hell Sweet Hell Alone, more like it indeed.
It's a pure example of what this franchise has become. This shallow, predictable mess. So yeah, my number 5, Hell Sweet Hell Alone. And yeah, Home Alone 4 is a bit worse, but not by much, Jose.
Alright. Oh god, the 5 zeros this year. Now we're really getting down to the worst of the worst. The 5 zeros I gave in 2021. At number 5 is one of the worst and most obnoxious comedies I've seen obnoxious sequels I've seen this entire year. Soren mentioned this, and it's easily Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard.
I make Sam Jackson and Selma Hayek annoying. This is how, apparently.
Yeah, really. There was nothing redeeming in this movie whatsoever. Nothing redeeming whatsoever. Even Morgan Freeman and Antonio Banderas could not save this movie because of how much their talents were horribly wasted in this shit. The story's an absolute mess. The script is horrendous. One of the worst of the year. One of the worst of the year since the tone felt beyond inconsistent. Beyond inconsistent as hell. The directing is shit. Hitman. Oh, Nicholas Lee, you are killing it this evening. Hitman's bitch bodyguard.
Or as Lobo would say, Hitman's bastard bodyguard.
Oh god. The directing is absolute shit. The acting is terrible. As I mentioned before, Antonio Banderas and Morgan Freeman are horribly this movie wastes the talents of like Morgan Freeman and Antonio Banderas. As for Ryan Reynolds, Samuel L. Jackson, and Selma Hayek, how the fuck do you lose the charm? Do you lose the charm of them that made it work in the first movie and made them into one-dimensional bumbling idiots? Look, I didn't like the first Hitman's Bodyguard, but at least I can appreciate the charm that was in that. Here in the sequel, though, there's no charm! The action is some of the worst of the year since the film is also a shaky, since the cinematography is a shaky mess and the editing is an atrocious mess. The musical score is terrible. It's poorly paced. I did not laugh once throughout the entire film. All the jokes fall very flat on their faces. It goes for those cliches that we've seen in other films before, and we're about to get to this part. One of the worst scenes I've ever seen put to film this entire year. The gelato ice cream joke.
Not since 50 Shades Free has a movie completely ruined ice cream.
Like, for real. For real. God, fuck this movie. The fact that Ryan Reynolds' character is afraid of gelato ice cream, all because it reminded him of an accident that his mother was killed in at a carnival? What?
It's like the scene from Seinfeld where Kramer came up with a reason why he's trying to, by saying, I never even had an air conditioner. And Newman's like, no, that's no good reason.
Honestly, I'd rather watch that than sit through this piece of shit ever again. Yeah, overall, Hitman's Bitch's Bodyguard was one of the worst action comedies I've ever seen in my entire life. It's one of the most idiotic movies I've seen. Idiotic, annoying, and downright inconsistent movies I've seen this. Okay, not inconsistent, but inept movies I've seen this entire year, and that's why it easily deserves the number 5 spot. Fuck this movie.
As for my number 4, I have 2 words for you, and I think Nick can guess it. Steve Bartman.
Oh no.
Tom and Jerry.
Tom and Jerry.
But this franchise is already going downhill, and this movie somehow made it worse. Once again, the focus isn't even on Tom and Jerry, it's on these horrible human characters.
That you don't give 2 shits about!
The visuals were complete garbage, the jokes were complete garbage, not just from rehashed slapstick, but with constant pop culture references and rapping music.
Fuck!
So yeah, to sum up this, my discussion of this movie, I have this clip to play when I eventually get to it. Shit, if only I actually prepared myself in advance.
Yeah,
Same.
and yes, and Tim Story has had an odd repertoire. He made the most good or least bad Fantastic Four films, but has done duds like Tom and Jerry.
And he did the first barbershop movie, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
that
here
was
we go.
one of the good ones.
Here's my thoughts on this movie. So yeah, number 4 is Tom and Jerry.
I'll get to that in a little bit, because that's also one of my top 2 worst. So, that's also one of my top 3 worst, actually. Number 4, I'm pretty sure you guys saw this coming since I ranted on this on the last podcast. I got 2 words for you. I got 2 words for you to describe this. Resident Evil. Yep, number 4 is Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City. Or as I like to call it, Resident Evil, Welcome to Epic Failure, Fuck You City.
Or Stay Away from Raccoon City.
Yeah. This movie is just horrendous. This is one of the worst video game-based movies I've ever seen in my life. I hated those Paul W.S. Anderson movies, including the final chapter, but they somehow managed to make it even worse than the Paul W.S. Anderson movies. I don't know how that's possible, but they did it.
Well, technically, Paul W.S. Anderson didn't direct the second and third movies.
Oh, I know that, but
He was
still.
busy doing Alien vs. Predator.
I know that, but still.
And again, Paul W.S. Anderson.
Perhaps I treated you too harshly.
And now it's Nick decapitating the director of this movie. I know I already made this joke, but it was just too good not to do again.
Right, exactly. Welcome to Raccoon Shitty. Welcome to Raccoon Shitty. Yeah, really, because it was one of the shittiest movies I've seen this entire year. There was nothing.
That reminds me, in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, you see an ending of Rocket Raccoon, and he's stuck in Raccoon City.
Yeah.
Why couldn't he have been in this movie?
Yeah, I know. He would have been the same.
You gotta get rid of some freaking zombies?
That honestly would have been the saving grace of the film. There was nothing redeeming in this movie whatsoever. Yes, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael, for mentioning that. From the director of The Strangers Pray at Night and the 247 Meters Down movies. This shows why Johannes Roberts is one of my least favorite filmmakers working today. Not only is his directing absolutely atrocious, but the script is terrible. One of the very worst scripts of the year. Especially since... I'm not even kidding. When it came to some of the comedy in it, it is beyond cringe-inducing. Like, you have characters saying fuck all the time just for the sake of humor. Now listen. I don't mind cursing in movies at all. But when you have characters saying... I'm sorry, let me rephrase that again. I don't mind cursing in movies at all. But when you have characters constantly swearing just for the sake of humor, it falls very flat on its face, and it gets real repetitive real quick.
Yeah, that's one reason why the Hellboy reboot was lazy in that department. Same for the Devil May Cry reboot, which was remedied with Devil May Cry 5, where there's not as much cursing and not as lazy.
Yeah, exactly. The story's an absolute joke. The acting is atrocious. I feel bad for the actress playing Claire, but her talent was just horribly wasted because of how terribly written her character is. Especially when I rarely use this criticism because I don't like using this criticism, but they made Claire into nothing but a powerful Mary Sue.
Yeah.
one of the stars of Victorious, Avon Jogia. Again, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. He was horribly miscast as like Leon S. Kennedy, but Tom Hopper gives out one of the worst performances I've seen this entire year as Albert Wesker. He was so bad in this movie. The music is shit. The cinematography is a shaky mess. The editing is atrocious. This movie has some of the worst action sequences I've seen put to film this entire year because of the cinematography and editing. And the designs on the monsters, good God, this was just absolutely, they looked absolutely atrocious. And it doesn't help that the visual effects are some of the worst I've ever seen in a film this entire year. You were gonna say something, Christian?
I bet those CGI monsters make the ones from the Haunted Mansion movie look Oscar-worthy.
Oh, they do. Hell, they even make the monsters from Monster Hunter, another Paul W.S. Anderson film from last year, look Oscar-worthy as well. It's just... Oh! God. And the ending was complete dog shit. And so was the mid-credit scene where Wesker wakes up in the body and just... God, what a slap in the face this mid-credit scene was. Where not only does I kind of forgot what I said now because of how much this movie made me angry. Let me look this up really quick. Okay. This mid-credit scene really pissed me off because not only does Wesker wake up in a body bed unable to see anything, but a mysterious figure then hands him sunglasses and he reveals herself to be Ada Wong.
Yeah.
What?
And, hey, Capcom, how about a better idea? How about we use the tofu from the Resident Evil 2 game? He's funny! And he'd speak randomly in Japanese before the vegan zombies would eat him.
Yeah, and Austin pointed this out, and I agree with in his worst of 2021 video, and I agree with him. This movie also made the biggest mistake of all, which is why the story is so bad. Mixing 2 Resident Evil games into one movie. That's one of the biggest mistakes I've ever seen in a film. And yeah, Jose, you're right. Sausage Party and South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut worked with a lot of F-bombs they used because they fit the tone of the story. They didn't feel shoehorned in.
Yeah, I'll actually give it that, and I really didn't like Sausage Party. I still had to see the South Park movie myself, but yeah.
Yeah, and for Lobo's case, since he's an alien, he says frag a lot.
Oh my god.
Because him saying frag and stuff, that certain word, kind of makes it funnier.
Yeah. This movie is just atrocious. I hated everything about this piece of shit, and that's why it's not... I hated everything about this piece of shit, and that's why it is easily number 4 on the list. Fuck this movie.
As for my number 3.
Oh my god.
Sia's music.
Oh my god.
Look, this movie has been one of the most widely despised movies in existence, so, should I even say anything here? Oh wait, I should? Okay. So basically, what Sia did is, she contacted Autism Speaks to supervise this movie, and as a result, the screenplay completely fails. Like, having Autism Speaks supervise this movie is the equivalent of letting the Triple K finance a slavery movie.
Like, really?
The characters were beyond stupid, the directing was even worse, even the music videos were garbage.
I only saw one clip from music involving the music video. Oh my god, I agree with you. That's atrocious. And it made me, and it did not make me want to watch the rest of the film because of that.
Yeah, no wonder Tempest Shadow imprisoned C in the My Little Pony movie, because this was reprehensible as hell. So yeah, my number 3 is Sia's music.
Alright. My number 3 worst. Soren mentioned this. This is one of those movies where it was bad when I first saw it, and it just got worse and worse the more I thought about it. Number 3, Space Jam: A New Legacy. Or as I like to call it, Space Jam: A New Epic Failure.
Yeah.
Look, this movie was bad when I first saw it, and it just got worse and worse the more I thought about it. This movie had no excuse to be this bad!
Yeah, and, it's even worse when you think about it, because, it's basically, hey, we're gonna advertise HBO Max, the whole company, and one of my least favorite things is that they think that Pepe Le Pew is problematic, but they decide to keep in the Droogs from A Clockwork Orange and other adult-oriented characters in there.
Oh my god. Yeah, I'll talk about the references in a little bit, but, there was nothing redeeming in this movie whatsoever. Even Don Cheadle of all people, could not save this movie. Because of how horribly written his villain character was.
And an early draft reveals that the film would have been worse, that Don Cheadle's character would have fought LeBron James over Instagram followers.
Yeah, me too.
What? Oh! What the fuck? You know what? I'm glad that wasn't in the final cut, because it would have easily been number 1 if that was.
Yeah.
This did not feel like a what?
And by the way, LeBron James, what was it you said on Twitter that one time?
Oh yeah. I'll get to that in a little bit. When we want to talk about the acting. The story is nothing but a rip-off of the first Space Jam movie. The script is horrendous since the characters are despicable idiots, and the dialogue is a clunky mess. The directing by Malcolm D. Lee was horrendous. The acting was atrocious. I already mentioned Don Cheadle. He could not save this movie. His talent was horribly wasted in this movie. But LeBron James. Look. Let me just say this right now. LeBron. It's not you said on Twitter that for people who don't like this movie are racist.
That's not true.
Right. No. It's not because... No. It's not because... No, we're not racist. It's not because we're... It's not because we're racist. It's because of the fact that the movie sucked!
Yeah. You can't take criticism.
Like, for real. And the voice acting... This movie also wastes the voice acting talents of, like, Eric Bauza and,
Candy Milo?
Candy Milo and
Zendaya.
Jim
and
Cummings.
Jim Cummings and Zendaya. Yeah.
And don't forget Rosario Dawson, who previously voiced Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah. What a waste of her talent too. Also, if you're really that concerned about Lola Bunny's redesign, that's probably the least bad compared to the constant references and references to other Warner Brothers properties, to the point where it doesn't even feel like a movie. It just feels like an advertisement for HBO Max.
Not even Rick and Morty can save it.
Nope. And you know what the sad thing is? That was the only time I actually laughed. That was the only time when they appeared on screen.
Yeah.
Even the jokes are just beyond idiotic. The soundtrack is terrible. The editing is shit. The cinematography, it wasted good cinematography. It's poorly paced. But when we get to that basketball scene, oh my god.
Yeah, and it parodied The Matrix 20 years after Looney Tunes had a Matrix parody in a webtoon.
Oh my, yeah. Not only is this movie so obsessed with throwing a lot of constant references to other Warner Brothers properties, including cameos by the Iron Giant, the Flintstones, Scooby-Doo, as well as oh my god, as well as those. But what kid in a generation like this is going to understand who Pennywise the Clown from It is, and what a Clockwork Orange and Casablanca are?
Yeah, or even The Matrix, for that matter.
Exactly. This movie throws in a lot of... What?
And by the way, speaking of references, here's to this movie for that whole Michael B. Jordan crap.
Fuck you!
Fuck you, indeed. Admittedly, I did laugh at that, but then the more I thought about it, I was like, nope, this is just distasteful. Why did I laugh at that? And oh my god, I also hated the basketball scene due to one scene that they showed in the film, which was also in the trailer. Look, say what you want about the first Space Jam movie. Yeah, it's not a great movie, but it was enjoyable. It was at least enjoyable for what it was. The reason I bring this up is because Chuck Jones hated the way Porky Pig was portrayed in the first Space Jam movie. I can't imagine what his reaction would be like if he was alive today and he saw this scene involving Porky Pig rapping.
I imagine he'd be rolling in his grave so hard that he's come out of the grave as a zombie.
Yeah, and Porky Pig did better rapping in the Robot Chicken parody, where he goes like,
And that's all, bitches.
As much as I'm not a fan of that show, I will admit that was actually pretty funny.
thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm gonna play this fucking clip.
Holy shit! We'll always love you! I can't believe it's gonna speak out there!
I know that joke is getting a bit stale, but it's just I don't care at this. I'm sorry. It's just I had to bring it up again because, good God, this movie was an atrocious mess from start to finish.
Yeah, and it turns out that a sequel starring Dwayne Johnson, probably called Wrestle Jam, has been canceled.
Good.
I would
Good.
never see that movie.
I do not want to see that movie either. This is easily one of the worst. this is easily one of the year's very worst movies. It's idiotic, it's unfunny, it's inconsistent, and inept as hell, and it easily deserves the number 3 spot as the worst film of the year. But you know what the sad thing is? It's not the only one that brought this epic failure they did this year. That's coming up next. After we get to Soren's number 2.
Yeah, as for my number 2 worst, I just talked about Don't Look Down. Basically, this movie tried to be a Doctor Strange parody and just fell flat on his face.
Doctor Strangelove.
Doctor Strangelove. It tried too hard to be Doctor Strangelove and just fell flat on his face. From a building.
Yeah, really. And hey, Adam McKay, you're not Stanley Kubrick!
Also, half the characters are so stupid that I don't think this would have. I don't think. Let me rephrase it. And these characters are so stupid that I think this whole world would be a better place if Lenny Loud, Charlotte from Making Fiends, and Patrick Starr played all the characters. They're that dumb.
They are.
So yeah, my number 2 is the most overrated movie I've ever seen in my life. Don't Look Down.
Alright. I can't even believe I've... Number 2. Now, number 2 and number 1, I had a hard time flipping back and forth on which one would be number 2 and which one would be number 1. But after careful thinking, I decided this would be number 2. And Soren mentioned this. Yeah. It's Tom and Jerry. We already talked about why. What? You know why I'd rather sit through Home than sit through The Boss Baby 2 ever again? Inside Out, Vanellope, yes, and Parental Guidance, no. Because at least Home wasn't like annoying. I mean, Home is just nothing more than a generic like E.T. rip-off. While Boss Baby 2 is just nothing but just constantly being obsessed with like trying to be constant noise just for the sake of having a child's attention.
You'll bet I'll be turning that movie a new asshole when we get to number 1.
Oh, I know that.
Hey, on a side note, guess who won Best Actress at the Comic Book Golden Issue Award?
Who?
Oh.
Daniela Melchior as Ratcatcher 2.
Nice!
Yeah!
Good for her.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to her.
I'm of Portuguese descent.
Nice. This movie was absolutely atrocious. We already talked about what was wrong with this movie, so I'm just gonna sum it up quick. This movie is just... Excuse me? Excuse me? Who do you think you are calling me a liar?
Just move on, just move on.
Alright, back to what I was saying. This movie is just the worst I've ever seen Warner Animation Group put through. The story is an absolute mess. The script is terrible. One of the very worst of some of the worst writing I've ever seen put to film this entire year. I've ever seen and heard in the motion pictures this entire year. The directing is atrocious. The acting is atrocious too. Again, we came here to see Tom and Jerry, not the human characters that we don't give two shits about.
Yeah, it's Kangaroo Jack all over again. Because kids everywhere want to see the kangaroo, but we were misled.
Right, exactly. And Chloe Grace Moretz, who I really love, was terrible in this movie. Michael Pena was terrible too. But the reason I feel that Chloe Grace Moretz's performance was more awful than Michael Pena, was because of her character. Her fucking character. how in this one scene where she steals a woman's resume and lies about it, and all of a sudden she gets promoted. Like, it's TT Kids that it's okay to lie and steal because that'll give you up there. Yeah, right. That's not how life works.
Yeah, because if there's anyone who's a good role model for kids, it's Hit Girl.
Yeah, it's just that's not how life works. Actions can have consequences, you know. Yeah. And the voice acting was absolutely atrocious too. It's just, I don't even want to mention the actors that voiced Butch in the Gang, but it's just, they were obnoxious. Oh, and
they even lazily recycled the usage of the iconic screams, you know, like, ah!
At first it was funny because I love William Hanna's scream, but yeah, it got real repetitive real quick because of how recycled it was. Oh, and those goddamn rapping pigeons.
Yeah. If only those were the pigeons from Animaniacs.
Or Bolt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just... Yeah, it's just this... I'm sorry, I can't even keep my shit together. I can't even get my shit together because of this. I'm sorry. The soundtrack is atrocious. It wasted good cinematography. The editing is also terrible. It's poorly paced. All the jokes fall very flat on their faces. It goes for those cliches that we've seen in other films before. And what a waste of a good animation. What a waste of a good animation, especially since the visual effects are absolutely atrocious. Oh, and I forgot, and thank you, Soren, for mentioning this. One of the worst scenes I've seen put to film this entire year is when Tom and Jerry go to a baseball game as they're spending time in New York, and then one of the Yankees players is about to hit one of the visitor players is about to hit a home run, but as soon as which gives Jerry an idea to let Tom catch the ball. But then as soon as one of the Yankees players tries to catch the ball, Tom catches it first. And this fucking Steve Bartman reference really pissed me off to no end.
Who even remembers that incident?
Really. Because number one, this joke is outdated. And number two, I said this before when we did a review of this back in March, and I will say it one last time. After the Cubs won the World Series back in 2016, they themselves sent Steve Bartman a World Series ring themselves as an apology for the incident. And since then he's been living a good life. So why the fuck would you bring that up again?
Yeah, really.
This movie can go fuck itself. When I saw this back in early March, I thought it would be the worst film of the year. But then, one more film actually topped it as the worst film of the year. And we'll get to that when we get to that, but right now we have to worry about Soren's number one worst film of the year. So, to make a long story short, Tom and Jerry is one of the worst live-action / animation hybrid movies I've ever seen in my entire life, and it's easily my number 2 worst film of the year. Fuck this movie.
If you know me by now, you should probably know what my number 1 is. It's my only 0 out of 10 of this year. It's the worst animated movie I've ever seen in my life. Boss Baby Family Bitchness. Everything about this movie is wrong. The story is a complete ripoff of the first movie. As the two protagonists are inexplicably changed back into babies and have to go through the exact same story arc as to learn to accept each other. The the animation is completely horrendous, making the characters look like those Johnny Giants pop-up videos. Yeah, remember that shit? The characters
Oh,
are beyond idiotic, especially the sister, who was completely obnoxious. And all the pop culture references, and all the noise. And then we get to the time warp scene.
here, let me play this for you one last time.
One thing I hate.
Hold on.
One thing I hate. All the noise.
Yeah, and musical numbers as well. That's why this movie just turned into a musical inexplicably for at least two situations. And then we get to the worst scene of the entire year. The time warp scene.
Oh god. Oh god. Oh god, I forgot to mention this. I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. Where Alec Baldwin and his brother turn back into babies to the tune of that Rocky Horror song and pinch each other's nipples like some newborn porn or something.
What the fuck?!
Seriously.
What's the writer addicted to child pornography when he came up with that shit?!
Just crucify me already. Blow
Like,
my
seriously.
brain down.
And and I forgot to mention this with Space Jam: A New Legacy and Tom and Jerry, but to those making that fucking excuse, like, Nick and Soren, it's a kids movie. Fuck that shit, man!
Kids movies have to try too. You wanna know why? For two things. Number one, kids aren't the only ones watching this. It's the adults, it's the parents of those kids watching it. And number two, making that excuse to make more of these pieces of shit in the cinema, it's just making our children look
Stupid.
Stupid, yeah.
And it's not like this movie is destroying the animation genre either. We had good movies this year. We had Ryan the Last Dragon, we had Luca, we had Mitchell's First Machines, we had Vivo, we had Encanto.
What's this? What's this? This is a way better movie!
Yeah, we had that. We had Wish Dragon. We had Encanto, even though I found a bit overrated. But still, watch those movies. Avoid Boss Baby 2 like the plague. Or even better.
Yeah, and like I said before, if a kid's movie, whether it's live action or animated, is bad by not only critics, but audiences as well, there's a good reason for that.
And hell, do yourselves a favor, buy a copy of this movie and just destroy it as brutally as possible. Because nobody deserves to sit through this shit. All I can say is, thank goodness the bad guys looks good. Because otherwise, pretty much
And I'm a huge Sly Cooper fan, so that's promising.
Yeah, it does look promising, I'll give it that.
And yeah, I'm just thankful that 2022 is looking good for animation. We have Turning Red, we have Lightyear, we have Spider-Verse 2, we had...
It's actually part
Part
the first
one.
of the two
Part 1, excuse me. And yeah, it's pretty sad when the makers of the Emoji Movie made 3 better movies this year than you, DreamWorks. And Sony Animation is actually doing better outside of Ultra Transformania 4 Transformania, which looks mediocre, but still! You've become the very thing you swore to destroy, DreamWorks. You're becoming the bane of animation's existence.
Like,
So,
for
yeah.
real. Like, what happened to you guys? You made The Prince of Egypt, and then you made one of the greatest animated movies of all time, Shrek.
Yeah,
What the fuck happened to you?
Yeah, Prince of Egypt is pretty much tied with The Lion King as my favorite animated movie of all time. And
The three How to Train Your Dragon movies, and the 3 Kung Fu Panda movies.
and Rise
And the
of
Madagascar
Guardians.
sequels.
Yeah, and Megamind.
And Road to El Dorado. And
Yeah,
the first
and
Spirit.
Rise of the Guardians.
And the
Yeah.
first Spirit, which you completely tarnished in this movie. Point is, thank goodness your the bad guys is looking good, because otherwise, this was not a good movie at all.
Nope.
In fact, this was one of the worst movies of all time. So yeah, I legit don't want to think about this movie anymore. I don't want to even talk about it. So yeah, for one last time, my number one, Boss Baby family bullshit.
For real. Oh, and before we get to my number one, actually, Jose, Chicken Run was by Aardman.
Well, yeah, even though DreamWorks distributed it.
Yeah, but still. And The Curse of the Rare Rabbit, too.
And flushed away.
Yeah.
Alright. When I saw Tom and Jerry earlier this year, I thought it would be my number one worst film of the year. Then, this piece of shit shows up. And Soren mentioned what it is. And thank you for pulling up that Shea Thrillers on clip, Soren. Because my number one worst film of 2021 is Dear Evan Hansen.
It's all yours.
I know what some of you guys are thinking. Oh well, Nick, Dear Evan Hansen. Oh well, come on, Nick. A musical movie is your number one worst film of the year? Surely can't be that bad. Oh yeah, it is. And let me explain why this is the worst movie I've seen this year. Let me explain. Number one, the story is an absolute mess. The story is an absolute mess. Like it tries so hard to be consistent, especially with its main character, who I'm gonna mention in a little bit. In a bit. But so inconsistent as hell, to the point where you can't even tell what the hell is going on. The script is the worst of the year. This movie has some of the worst dialogue and some of the worst tone inconsistencies, as well as some of the worst characters I've ever seen put to film this entire year. And did the writer of this movie even do some damn research on, like, people with mental illness and people who have suicidal thoughts? And people who have died from suicide in real life?
Like Autumn Snyder, for instance.
Yeah, this movie's portrayal of mental illness and suicide, like it's nothing, angered me to no end because of how reprehensible and downright offensive it was. The directing is some of the worst of the year. Steven Chbosky, how could you go from The Perks of Being a Wallflower and Wonder to this piece of shit?
Like, really?
And Steven Chbosky, why would you say that this was supposed to be a vanity project for Ben Platt when this was nothing but him, which I'm going to talk about just right now, him not only being horribly miscast as Evan Hansen, since he's way too old to be playing the part, but have him be terrible at singing with a lot of voice cracks he pulls. This is not a vanity project.
This is an absolute disgrace.
It is a disgrace. It is a disgrace. It is an absolute disgrace. I already mentioned the acting. Ben Platt is terrible. This is one of the worst performances I've ever seen from an actor in my entire life. And the character Evan Hansen is one of the worst characters I've ever seen put to film in my entire life. And I'll explain why towards the end, after I finish talking about what I also hated about this movie. Also, Amanda Stenberg, Caitlin Dever, Julianne Moore, and Amy Adams are horribly wasted in this movie. They have their talents are horribly wasted due to how poorly written the characters are. The soundtrack is also terrible. There was not one single song that I liked in the film. I wasn't a fan of The Greatest Showman, which was another film that was that had the music written by the guys that did La La Land and this, but at least The Greatest Showman had had wonderful music, including This Is Me.
And I actually really liked The Greatest Showman. Way better than this piece of crap.
Like, for real. I'd rather watch The Greatest Showman than sit through this piece of shit ever again.
Yeah, and instead of watching this film, how about watch Tick Tick Boom instead? That smiles better.
It is. It is. Oh my God. The editing is some of the worst I've ever seen put to film this entire year. How this movie was edited, it felt like a child edited this movie. A child with a dysfunctional brain. And we're not gonna say that. We're not gonna mention that R word, because that would be like that would be me considering as ableist. But you guys get the point.
Yeah, and besides, Nick and I are autistic ourselves, so
I'm autistic too.
Yeah. But it's just, the pacing is absolutely terrible. This movie is way too fucking long. And because of that, it suffers through a lot of pacing issues here and there. Like, this movie's like 133 minutes. That's way too long. I don't have a problem with runtime if the story is emotionally investing, but here's the problem. It isn't. It also throws in a lot of cliches that you've seen in a lot of films before. And the ending was fucking reprehensible. The last 10 minutes of the film are fucking reprehensible. And that ties into what I hate, what I absolutely hate about the characters in this movie. Especially Evan Hansen. Especially Evan Hansen. I mean, if the movie was self-aware that he was a sociopath, like the musical was, and they had the song "Good for You" in it, then I would forgive it. But no, they cut the song "Good for You" out of the movie, and just make us like all of a sudden have this feel good story where even before and after Evan Hansen gets called out for his actions, we're supposed to feel sorry for him. This is one of the worst. Are you shitting me, movie? Are you shitting me?
you know what would make this movie a billion times better? If Evan Hansen was played by Will Smith as a fish.
Yes.
Actually, yeah, we have that. It's called Shark Tale.
Yeah, really. I'd rather watch Shark Tale than this piece of shit ever again. And it's just, oh my god. And here's another point I want to make. Hey, Evan Hansen. Hey, Evan. I got something for you. If you didn't want to get called out for your scummy actions, then here's my suggestion. Maybe you shouldn't make up a story. Maybe you shouldn't make up a story about being friends with Connor to become popular. After he committed suicide, you fucking moron! God. Oh, God, I hated this movie. Oh. God, I hated this movie. I really hated it. I'm dead serious. This is one of the worst movie musicals I've ever seen in my life. It makes Annie 2014 from Justin and Kelly all look like masterpieces in comparison. And this is almost as bad as Cats 2019. Almost.
I actually think this is worse because at least with Cats I can laugh at it.
Okay, you know what? This is just as bad. Just as bad. I hated this movie with a burning passion. Fuck this movie, and to Steven Chbosky and Mark Platt for boosting your son Ben Platt's ego. You two ought to be ashamed of yourselves. Yeah, Dear Evan Hansen is without a doubt one of the worst movie musicals I've ever seen, and it is easily one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire fucking life, and that's why Dear Evan Hansen is my #1 worst movie I saw in 2021. Fuck this movie!
So yeah, to conclude our thoughts on it, you got what you always wanted.
You got the best of you. You got what you always wanted. You got your dreams come true. You got what you always wanted. Good for you, you piece of shit!
And you know what? You get what you fucking deserve. Bang.
You get what you fucking deserve!
Or as in my Lobo edits, you get what you friggin' deserve!
Oh. I'm all burnt out. I'm all burnt out from all this rant. Honestly, even though I love doing these worst of list, it sometimes makes me feel very depressed whenever like I try to like rant on like something. I'm a nice guy in real life. I just love seeing great movies in general, and that's why I just want to like end this on a positive note.
And
Yeah. You're a good man.
And yeah, that's pretty much why we do these rants, because we want Hollywood to improve.
Exactly.
Yes, and these companies should listen to their fans, like what they did for Afterlife, No Way Home, and all that. Not just show all this crap like Resurrections, A New Legacy, and all that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention about Resident Evil, the Welcome to Raccoon City. Unlike No Way Home and Afterlife, where the fan service actually fit the tone of the story, here the fan service in Raccoon City was just there just for the sake of it, and it feels shoehorned in. All right.
And because I don't want this podcast to end on a sour note, here's a cute picture I made of two of my favorite cartoon characters.
Nice.
And
How about you be my friend?
I got my Fluttershy plush with me just because I'm gonna definitely need some. I'm definitely gonna need some comfort from her after the show. Just after.
Yeah.
All right. That's all right. Well, to close this off on a happy note, that's all for tonight's podcast, guys. We hope you guys enjoyed the podcast, and I just want to end this on a positive note. Thank you guys so much for like sticking with us for another year. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun doing these podcasts, and this year was also a great year too because now we had Christian Frey. He's come onto the podcast for like a year ever since he joined last year, which was also a great experience. So,
and I've helped improve upon it.
Yeah, thanks, man. And guys, I also want to say this too. I want to thank you guys as well for watching this podcast. I care. You guys mean a lot to us whenever you come on and watch these shows with us. we're not always the best podcast in the world, but you know what? We just want to try and have fun discussing a lot of things.
Yeah, that's basically the point of this video, just to talk movies, talk shit about movies, and overall just having a time with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We don't take you guys for granted because we love you guys very much, and we love it whenever like, and we love it whenever we get to like have some discussions with you guys. So thanks very much for watching this podcast, and thank you for sticking with.
Thanks for watching, fanboys and fangirls. Have a fragging great New Year.
Yeah, thanks for making this a altogether better year than 2021. Not just from support from you and Christian, and it's all of you fans, all of your fans support for our YouTube channels, from my DeviantArt page with my fan fictions, and just in real life.
Exactly.
You're pretty much the reason why I'm still going strong.
Exactly. And as always, like I always say in the last podcast, be sure to subscribe to Soren the FilmBrony and Christian Frates' YouTube channel. The link is in the description below. Give them the love they absolutely deserve, because they're such wonderful friends to hang out with.
Yeah, and tune into my YouTube channel tonight, because I'm going to be posting my top 15 worst films of 2021 video. So that should be fun.
Yeah, and I will post that. I will post your worst of list in the description below too. So,
all
right. Hope you guys had a wonderful New Year, and thank you so much for making 2021 a good year, for a fun year for all of us, and for you guys too. And until we see you again in January for when we do our best of 2021 list, hope you guys have a wonderful New Year, and we will see you all in 2022. And until then, may the force be with you. So long.